small thing, because he's basically saying that today, if you just combine all the chip output that we are producing per year, it's basically 20 gigawatts.
Yeah.
And he says basically in Tesla and Optimus Bot and in SpaceX and XAI and everything, he will need like 50 times more.
Yeah.
Like 1 terawatt. So that's a terafab name. So, okay, he wants to use more compute than 50 times more that's being produced per year today. That number in itself is just insane.
And I mean, it's just the space and energy you need to run that.
Yes. So yeah, that's the second thing then. But also, we have a big bottleneck in terms of who is really creating the compute.
Yeah.
Of course, we have the European ASML company that's building the machines, the lithography
ASML,
machine. Yeah. But then it's being, designed by NVIDIA and then being manufactured by TSMC in Taiwan.
Yeah.
And then no one can really compete with them in terms of the most advanced chips. And that creates, of course, a big bottleneck. So it also makes it really hard to innovate, because if you have a new design, a new mask that you have designed for the chip that NVIDIA does, then they have to send it to TSMC and they manufacture something, they try it out, and they have this kind of really long loop to really do innovation. Months, yeah, if not more. So now what Terafab is planning to do is to take that on themselves. So they can basically do the design themselves, they can do the manufacturing themselves, and they can do the application themselves. Meaning they can really take that loop, the iteration loop for innovation, and put it down from probably years to weeks or something.
Yeah,
and no one else is anywhere close to be able to
but
do
is that feasible, or is it the Elon Musk claim?
I mean, I think he'd done it with rockets before. I mean, when he was starting SpaceX, he went around to all the rocket manufacturers and asked, I need a rocket that can do this and this and can launch and, relaunch and so on. And nobody said that they could build it. So he had to build it himself. So, I mean, he'd done it before.
He has done it before, if you look at it that way. I agree with that.
But then even what you mentioned with energy, the most crazy thing about Terafab, I think, is they're going to build it on the moon.
Yeah, that's the logical extension of the energy implication. If you want to build Terafab, what's the energy implication?
Yeah.
Let's put it on the moon.
Yeah.
And
Is that part of the plan? Like, because it's a logical consequence of saying Terafab.
No, but he's saying like within 36 months, the cheapest place to deploy new AI will be in space.
And long term, I think he's correct. If we have cracked how we put things in orbit, and then he cracks how he puts things cost effectively on the moon. Yeah, it makes
sense. He's using the Artemis, moon project now undergoing with NASA.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to use the starships to actually put the people on the moon. It's not going to be the NASA rocket; it's going to be Starship. So he actually get NASA to pay for him building
the infrastructure for his
so he can then use it to build the Terafab on the moon.
Or he will outcompete them on the moon. I think
the crazy thing is that
people, and he can plan to put like a whole AI factory on it. So
yeah, I mean it's such a smart, strategic move.
But at once, I mean, he's always said that he's going to do this, and it's kind of now that you can see the clear view of it or the whole plan. But he's always said that this is the whole plan, and I mean, if he can build that much AI. I think he said himself in the interview that there isn't going to be a single problem for a single human being on Earth that can't be solved.
And then comes another question. Do we need that much AI, or will we fundamentally come up with smarter ways of, slimmer ways of doing things? I mean, is the scaling just going to continue, or are we going to think about fundamentally different architectures where this is actually not the way we're going to scale it? What do you think?
I think it depends what you want to do, right? I mean, I think EU was thinking in these terms for quite some time. Like, we should draw down all of the energy use, like minimize, try to preserve Earth as it is. But Elon Musk's plan is to consume 3% of the moon and turn it into silicon in the Dyson swarm. And he's like frustrated that we're still like not a Kardashian 1 civilization yet. So
I need you to unpack the sci-fi reference here. Dyson swarm, what is it?
Yeah, so basically, I think all of this goes back to this Kardashev, who is like a Russian physicist during the Cold War. He comes up with this scale of civilization where like Kardashev scale 1, if I'm not mistaken, means that basically you capture your whole planet's all energy that it gets, basically. and then scale 2, you capture the whole sun, and then people start thinking, how do you accomplish this? And then it basically means that you build like a solar panel around the whole sun. It's the most efficient way, because you can't really go there with a boiler or anything, because it will just also turn into fission, so you can't extract the energy without building solar cells. So that's the Dyson sphere. And the swarm is just like starting to build that sphere, because it's just like a Starlink style satellite.
The swarm that moves towards the sphere.
Yeah, exactly. Like when we reach level 2, I suppose we take all the energy from the sun, and then, as you said, Anders, there is like the galaxy, it goes to the universe
4 as well.
Yeah.
Continuum.
Yeah.
For all the sci-fi nerds out there, right?
Yeah.
But maybe it's not so nerdy anymore. I don't know.
Exactly. It's going to be in a reality near you very soon.
In a mailbox near you, or in a outlet near you.
But it's also you can think about the reason for Elon Musk to do so. One is simply that he means what he's saying, meaning he wants to make human species multiplanetary, or he wants to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy, or abundance, as he now calls Tesla's mission, right?
Yeah.
Or it's actually something else. And this is simply something he says to really get people excited about working with this, because it's, a sci-fi movie more or less coming to reality. I mean, I think it's a super smart thing to really concentrate power now, what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, have you read about the IPO he's going to do on $2 trillion?
Yeah, it's up to 2 trillion now, right?
It's insane. So, I mean, he's going to, I think like as an entrepreneur, like it's not only the money, it's also about doing something fun. I mean, if I had those kind of influence that he has, maybe I would build a moon base as well.
He's always already the most rich person on earth, so he can't compete with that anymore. So.
But if you read the biography from Elon, what's his name? The famous guy who wrote it.
Walter Isaacson.
Walter Isaacson, that's the one. I mean, there is a pattern here that is actually not so dumb. If you put an extreme goal, like we did in the 60s, let's go to the moon. When you put that extreme goal out there, it drives you to solve problems that you then figure out and commercialize on the way. So if you think about it, by putting up the fundamental bold goal of going to Mars, he had to build SpaceX. And in order to fund SpaceX, he had to build Starlink. Yeah. So all the time, it's a little bit like if you put an extreme goal up, it gets you focused, and then you figure out what is the commercial models along the way. Yeah. And it's not, I don't know if that's bad. I think it's pretty brilliant.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we talked about innovation before, and I think during World War, for example, there's been a lot of innovation. Yeah. During the Apollo program, there's been a lot of innovation. So, I mean, there's definitely room, I think, in humanity for people to set these goals. And I mean, maybe he fails.
If you don't set them, where is the innovation going to go and come from? Then we're going to have I love the advertising, what was the top European innovation? We put a bottle cap that it don't fall off, right? Then you don't have enough strong goals if that's the main thing you can come up with. As a joke, right?
Yeah, of course. I'm already looking forward to the end of this podcast. After work, go even more philosophical. And
by the way, try those beers upstairs.
Yes.
The homemade beers.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to try those. But before that, I would love to welcome you here, friends, ex-colleagues, and I think extreme AI and engineering experts, Berner Setterwall and Tom Ström. Welcome here.
Thank you very much.
And we worked together a while back in Campanja. It was one of my most, I think, fun times. I learned so much as well.
Yeah, when you did a budget according to a hockey stick, I heard that one.
Yeah, we were young. Let's stay there.
I still remember, the days when we had this competition with Netflix to win the worldwide marketing, and we won that, worldwide. That was such a extreme.
Like Netflix, Zalando, some Spotify, some kick-ass customers.
Zalando.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I think Netflix was a lot of fun because, of course, they were respected as an engineering company, and their own engineers were kind of like, "Oh, why are you taking in this external smart engineers? We can beat them." And then we kind of had to rally our engineers and let's go. Yeah, exactly.
And you had respect inside Netflix. That's pretty cool.
And then we had the office right above. A famous nightclub.
Good times.
No need to go there. It was a very good office.
A lot of karaoke nights, and yeah, it was. I mean,
Is that when your karaoke career started?
No,
I became a pro.
Did
like-
you push you into karaoke?
maybe he was a big, part of that. Definitely.
I brought the quality down.
I love it.
Anyway, we are here to hear more about your work and especially with Cogny and your current approaches to use AI and agentic AI for marketing and so many more things. So we'd love to dig deeper into that. But before we go into what you're currently working with, perhaps we can have a short background about each of you personally. If we start with you, Berner, how would you describe yourself? Who is really Berner?
Yeah, I mean, that's a complex question, of course. Obviously, like my professional self, I'm a self-taught coder. I went to gymnasiet. I was supposed to go study at Handels, was my plan. Like I had the grades and everything, but then I was like, maybe I should just try like one company before I start studying.
Dip my toe.
Exactly. And I managed to land a job at one startup, and then I went to the next, and then I co-founded Campanja, and here I am, still uneducated. And then in my spare time, like I like to be out in nature. I drive my snowmobile. I have a bunch of dogs. I have a family, 2 kids, and my sambo. We live in Jämtland. I moved there 2020.
Where do you live in Jämtland?
In between Östersund and Åre, in
Which
the
one?
countryside.
Because I've been thinking deeply in these ideas.
Yeah, in
That's
a
separate
small
question.
village called Alsen.
Alsen.
Yeah, it's a beautiful lake. It looks almost like Switzerland because you can see like Åreskutan in the background. Over
Let's
the
talk
lake.
about this later, yeah?
Yeah, but it's nice.
No, I mean, awesome, and I've learned so much from you. I was always amazed by your both AI skills, but also engineering skills. So very impressive, I must say.
Oh, thank you.
That must be good to have a PhD saying that to you.
So let me just do one follow-up question. What's the trick to become a great engineer self-taught? How did you go about that?
I think that I was just like really interested in computers from an early age. Like it's not that I was like without help as well. Like I have my brother who's working at Ericsson. He's done his whole career there. So when I was like maybe 7th, 8th grade, like I got my first thrown out computer from their office, installed Linux, started playing, deleted the whole file system many times. A lot of mistakes, but I also spent like a tremendous amount of time in the terminal.
Yeah, it's a tremendous amount of time in the terminal. TTT, right?
Yeah, something like that. So when Cloud Code happened, I was like rejoicing, like deep in my heart. Like there's always been this chasm between like developers who spend a lot of time setting up their environment and those that do very little. I'm on the little side. Like I rather be able to work just with VI on any server that I SSH into. So the whole like terminal format of Cloud Code was like really. I love that.
Yeah, I can see that. Tom, how would you describe yourself?
Well, I'm Tom. I'm not a self-taught anything. I would say I went to school and graduated Royal Institute of Technology. I was focusing on kind of entrepreneurship and marketing. KTH, yeah. And then I went to Schibsted, where I basically, Aftonbladet was going through this very kind of big change, you could say, where a lot of advertisers was leaving, everyone was becoming digital.
What year was this approximately?
2010. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So I stayed there for a while and basically helping them to buy companies and to run growth inside their portfolio of companies. And then I kind of joined the
How do you meet
Campanja team.
How do you meet Berner?
At Campanja.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or it was, I guess, through like our shared friend Marcus. Because you were working with him part-time on Constant, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like just gravity pulled all of this together into Campania, kind of, or
Yeah, exactly.
How big was the team when it was at the biggest?
At Campanja?
Yeah.
Was it around 50? Or
Yeah, something like that.
50, yeah.
50.
And we had offices in London and Palo Alto.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. And now you have a new company and you're working with that. Can you just describe briefly how you got started with both, I guess, growth hackers and also Cogny?
Yeah, I mean, I think after Campanja, we sold that to an Indian American company. So we founded then Growth Hackers because we wanted to go a little bit wider. Because Campanja was very niche. We were doing just bidding for SEM basically, or search engine marketing or Google Ads primarily. So we wanted to go kind of wider, work with more channels, also kind of follow the users into the web page and app. And that's kind of what Growth Hackers is basically. Helping companies drive
There were
growth.
some key moments, right? I think like we worked with Netflix, for example, helping them roll out ads across. Like they were successful in the US, but they didn't have a global footprint, so they came to us and like help us run ads everywhere, pretty much.
Yeah.
And we rolled out, country after country, and we launched in Sweden. There was a launch party. They came here. We were all like, hey. But then it was also like getting the performance, getting the users cheap enough, getting the scale so that they could take this like streaming platform position that they have today. And then they had like 0 Swedish TV shows on the landing page. We're like, the content that you have, like it's not even available here because of content restrictions. So you'd like, maybe optimize this page and we can do a better job optimizing your ads. And they were like, you shouldn't care about that. Like, let us have.
You're an SEM guy, keep on your corner.
That's when the whole idea started.
That was kind of
a little bit, yeah.
like,
Out of frustration.
But I mean, I guess not
innovation.
only as well, like we had this idea at one point in Campanja to try to build this like business cognition type of company where like we optimize the business metrics end to end with like advertising as the lever.
Yeah, you
but
remember this, we built our own tracking and
Yeah.
so we were kind of going in.
I mean, perhaps we should explain a bit how that type of SEM marketing really works, Campanja style, so to speak, and then if we expand it a bit more to what we do today. But if you were to explain a bit more for the type of second order price marketing and these kind of techniques, how does that work really?
Yeah. Do you want to go? Should I go?
Go ahead, Berner.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, like Google has a site. A lot of people come there and they Google things, and like they started out without the business model pretty much. They were just like, people like to find the structured information of the internet. Yeah. But then at some point, like they added this AdWords feature. Like I think one of the first customers was like a lobster sales guy that was like, I can finally sell my lobsters.
Lobster, you think of something else these days, but
lobster, they keep coming back. It's them and the gremlins, I guess. But then like they took in like I think he was like an economics professor, Halvarian, like microeconomics professor, and he was like, you should really do this as a second price auction. And what that means is that you can basically say, these clicks are worth this much to me, like 10 crowns or 100 crowns.
And just to give some more background, I mean, if you go to a normal Google page, you will see the organic results, like the real web pages, but you also see ads. And the way then you place your ads there is by setting some kind of price,
you
right?
build a campaign in a Google Ads interface.
Yeah.
You then add ad groups, and you then add your actual ads that will be displayed, the text, and also a set of keywords that will trigger. Like these days, it's more complicated, but that's how it started pretty much. Yeah. And these keywords match different sets of queries depending on settings, search terms, And then basically you also set what a price that you're willing to pay for this particular keyword.
A max price. Right?
Yeah, I mean, just like you would do on when you do sell stuff on Tradera, basically.
But the genius of the second price auction is that you can say honestly what it's worth to you, but you pay the price of the next guy who hasn't the same value. So maybe the most valuable click is 10 crowns, but you are willing to pay 100 because you earn 100 per click. Then you're still just going to pay like 10.1 crowns per click. But if the other guy optimizes his business so he can pay 50, now you have to pay 50 to be on top.
And then on top of that, each landing page gets graded in a quality score. So if you have a high quality score, you get cheaper clicks. If you have a low quality score, you will get screwed, basically.
Is it the same, but much more sophisticated today? Because this started in the era of the keywords or search words, and now everything.
Yeah, it's fairly similar, I would say.
The
like
core mechanism.
more complicated. There are more like AI layers and optimization layers in between. Like that was one of the reasons that we sold the company eventually to 24/7.ai. That Google was basically removing some of the levers that we had used really successfully when building Campanja, and it felt like basically we were sitting in in a very dependent position versus Google.
Yeah.
And that window was kind of closing, so it felt like we should probably figure out something else.
Yeah, and I mean, Google is just removing levers to pull basically, and nowadays it's just basically, do an AI Max campaigns, and then they do all the optimization for you. And of course, they're in the business of selling you bad clicks and good clicks, but Campanja was in the business of only finding the good clicks.
Yeah, so they're automizing the way to set the bid, and I guess that's the hard thing with not knowing really what you will pay. So you could also try to game that if you do it properly, and get a higher position basically by doing so.
Yeah, and that was, I guess, the core innovation of Campanja, that basically we realized that if we just reevaluate this very, very often, we can then pay the correct price at all times, and that's like high frequency bidding. And it turned out to be super profitable. I think we beat Netflix's own engineering team with like 30% better results multiple times, even though they went back, we're going to build again and going to win this time. They came back and we beat them again. So like it was a super successful approach, like very expensive to build. Like we had a big engineering org, we had like multiple people working pretty much full time building APIs. But also very successful. And
it was kind of hard to explain to customers as well. You had to kind of go into this PhD Bayesian math, and they were like, "Oh, what the hell are you talking about?" But
But I think that was like not in terms of technology maybe, but it was your most valuable contribution for Campanja as a business, Anders, when you took this 3D chart of the value over time.
The dovetailed.
Yeah, and then they finally got it.
Tell us this war story.
Let Anders his creation.
Anders war story in a nutshell. I want to hear this.
No, but please.
But it was like this then, if I should do it short.
Yeah, do it, please.
So I had built this high frequency bidding engine, but the problem was that like we were very naive when it came to what the value of clicks was. We could control the cost, but we didn't know the value. So then we looked at the market, what is the best talent to help us solve this? We found Anders, an AI PhD already back then, which is, I think it wasn't, they weren't growing on trees,
exactly.
if I say so. and even when we found some more later, like not everybody were as good as you. So that was a fantastic find for us. And you helped us build basically AI models, what was called AI at the time. This is, of course, like always changing definition, but...
What was the underlying tech, Anders?
Don't focus on
but out of that model also came a graph that visualized the value over time, and that is something that the customers finally understood, that if I had the same bid all the time, it's not following the change. And
it's this beautiful, it goes from like red to green, and it's almost like a landscape. So I could basically show Netflix this, like, when do you think your users are most likely to convert? And then you could see this kind of 3D landscape where Sunday at 8 o'clock in the evening, the graph just jumped basically, and they understood it. And there was a really innovative product, but it was also a very good way to explain.
But visualizations and the way how we communicate.
Exactly.
It's such a big lever. If you can't explain the fantastic product that you built, like you're not going to make much business anyway.
My deck went from like 1 hour till one slide basically, and then just had Netflix on the top. And
You're exaggerating, but good. But then, okay, you have expanded a bit. If you were to just perhaps explain the business model of Growth Hackers and Cogny compared to Campanja, how would you differentiate it?
Yes, I mean, if Campanja was very deep in one channel, Google Ads, Growth Hackers was more taking another approach, which is you need to do everything fairly right in each step of the entire user journey. So from the channel into the site and all the way down to revenue, in order to get a good funnel. And get kind of good growth going. So what Growth Hackers did was to help orchestrate this, to get like the Google Ads campaigns or all the campaigns trackable and testable, and then get the user journey on the site, all that trackable and testable, and then be able to run experiments in all these different parts of the user journey and do that as much as possible. So the more experiments you ran, the better growth you got, basically. And we call that the growth process.
And we talked about it before. At that point in time, growth hacking. But this is now more or less established around the people that know. So we call this growth engineering now. Or
or go to market. It's a little bit different.
But GTM is an older.
It is, but it's kind of.
It's part of GTM.
It's popular right now, at least. Marketers, they go like it's like fashion.
Buzzwords. Okay, so what's the difference between growth hackers and Cogny?
No, but that was the fantastic thing. Like we had tried out AI in different forms throughout our years. Like I don't know if you remember when this like AI dungeon game was launched on top of GPT-3. I mean, that was the real first indication, I think, that these new transformer models could deliver something special.
When is this? This is before ChatGPT, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like, I think
20?
it's the summer
18,
of
19?
23, something like that. Or maybe it was Christmas.
22 at least.
22.
Christmas. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so like, is it Christmas of 21, something like that?
So this is like DeepSeek, you know.
No.
All right.
So they shipped that one. I actually applied for the API, tried it out a little bit, but like quality was too bad. But yeah, no, sorry, that was of course 2021. Yeah. And then as ChatGPT was launched in November 2022, then it was like, okay, now they managed to get it good enough and in a pretty short time window. So then we basically just went all in on Cogny, and I we were in a pretty like hectic spot with growth hackers at the time. So we didn't have like time to work on the day to day. But then as kind of Christmas break started, I pretty much coded together an MVP and gave it to Tom for Christmas.
I was very happy. I showed my whole family. Look at this
yours.
fantastic Christmas
What
present.
year was this approximately?
Yeah, 22.
Oh, it was then.
Yeah, Christmas 22, yeah.
Oh, really?
And then like early 2023, we shipped our first like SQL to like AI powered SQL generator copilot thing. I mean, it was pretty worthless because you more or less had to know SQL to be able to generate SQL, even though you could write natural language, but it helped me at least. So we had a user of one basically. But then we kept building. And the idea was to basically take what we do by hand and do it with AI.
And I think it gradually kind of took over more and more of our work. I mean, in the end, we basically just got questions from clients. We fed it to Cogny, and Cogny created a nice analysis that we then presented.
And was it mainly to generate the SQL itself, or did you do something more with visualization and stuff, or what's really the core functionality of Cogny?
And so it's evolved a lot over time, of course, with capabilities. Like we have tried to trust AI a lot, and then we have been like burnt. So like the first step was obviously like this AI co-pilot for your BigQuery data warehouse. Like you ask the question, the AI delivers, and it's kind of still that in the core today, but it's obviously much more capable now. But then we tried to build like when deep research was released, we tried to build like a data analyst service based on the same principles for BigQuery, but like the analysis that came out weren't that good.
It was hallucinating. I mean, if it's hallucinating a little bit when you're building a web page, maybe that's not, it won't destroy the entire page. But if you do an analysis that shows, you made 3 million instead of 300,000, that's a little bit bigger problem.
But still, like this was in the same era. Like we have we know Anton from before. Like so we met him.
I mean, Anton in Lovable.
Yeah, exactly. Anton was yeah. So we met him around that time. He was hacking on GPT Engineer.
Yeah, that's right. It's almost similar timeline.
Yeah, and he was like, you should try it for your growth business. And we did, like, we generated some like dashboard pages and stuff, but we're like, nah, it's not good enough, Fuck that.
Keep it pre-engineered.
Yeah, so it was like at the time where models weren't super capable.
Yeah.
So then we kind of took a step back and instead built like more static reports where like the human could define the SQL queries, like make sure there was no hallucination in the core data, and then do like AI analysis on top of that. So like, what does the data actually tell me?
Because I mean, if you present a dashboard to a client, the next question is always going to be like, what does it mean? And that's basically what you can use an LLM for, to give you some bite-sized insights.
Then I don't know how far we should go.
No, but we talked a little bit upstairs as well, and I also a logical progression that now we can produce all these reports, but no one fucking reads the reports. So
No, that was
now
the
we
thing.
build the next agents on top as the.
But I think pause at that a little bit, because that was like a huge surprise to me. I mean, I'm like, think that everyone wants data, everyone wants insights. I don't care in which form it comes. But when we sat there and used Cogny to produce insights for us, and we went there to present it, everyone was like, oh, fantastic. How did you find this? And then we were like, okay, but you can get this every week for your specific role. Even everyone in your organization can get their own insights. You can go to the Monday morning meeting and everyone knows how last week gone, and you can get some recommendations. So we started sending emails, but nobody opened the emails, which is kind of interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
Because, I mean, insights should be insights in my world, but they're not.
So you went basically to do some vibe analytics in some sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
We actually,
Yeah. And then, like, at the time that Lovable really started working, I think, and they had rebranded and everything, and that was, I think, summer pretty much of 24, right? So they launched for the public autumn of 24, but already in the summer they had like something that started to work much better, and that was obviously Sonnet 3.5. And that,
Under the hood, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like that base capability then unlocked like a good enough user experience that could be used.
We actually had Anton on this podcast right before he launched Lovable, so he hinted a lot about what was
Yeah,
coming.
so we take the claim. If you want to have a really good rocket ship, go to us and see what happens 1 month later.
That's a good omen for Cogny.
It was like 1 month before they did the product hunt launch of the new brand.
Yeah.
So it was so fun. We take all credit for this.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
AMD and Sana.
Oh yeah,
Sana, yeah. After Sana was here, they were able to sell it.
See the trend here.
That's I see the train.
And he was much more open with how it actually works. You know,
Was Max here as well, or
No.
No, okay.
No,
That's an outlier. Yeah,
You're in for a good ride now, guys.
yeah, okay. Sounds good.
No, but back to what was the point here with you were making a point here at this point in time. Sonnet started to working better.
Yeah, and that kind of unlocked like real analysis again, like that the co-pilot we had built before all of a sudden started kind of working. So then we went back, and by the time we had kind of re-engineered the analysis, even newer models were out, and we were then like going away from this human built template to like a more of a agent spec, like you should do this and analyze this area. And we were running that for some time, and then around I think Christmas we felt that okay, this like agent driven analysis, like the agents gets an area to analyze, but it doesn't get like a specific query to run or something like that. Those started getting good enough quality that you can actually take action pretty much straight from those. And at the same time, users weren't reading the reports anyway, even though like the quality got really, really good. So then we built this whole like ticket orchestration system with actual agent execution on top of the insights from the
so
reports.
ticket. What do you mean? So people
No, because
send in-
I mean, basically, if you go back to the example, like let's assume that everyone in the organization has insights. What's the point of that?
What are you going to do with it?
Exactly. You're going to, create an experiment or act on it somehow.
You want a recommendation? You should think about this type of A/B testing for your role in SEO. Like depending on what role it is, it will look a little bit different. What they should be doing.
Yeah. So we then created this ticket view that we call it, and that's another agent that then basically reads the insights that the insight agent created and then create actionable tasks. Like we recommend you should do this. We score it with the I-scoring, where you basically take the highest impact ticket with the highest value and prioritize that first and present it in the ticket view. That goes then from...
That's cool.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned also that, I mean, one approach would, of course, be to have one big agent or AI that does it all, so to speak, or you can split it up into different agents with different purposes. And I think you chose the latter, right? Or can you describe more?
Yeah, it's of course, you could think of it in many ways, but like the tickets are really like a specification that a ticket execution agent could then take and run. So it's both kind of what we need to do, what we expect should be the outcome, and the why. And the why goes back to these reports that we had generated earlier. And it also has like, how do we intend to do this? So it comes with basically an ask for permission to, maybe publish a new page on the blog, or maybe change budget on some campaigns, or maybe create some new campaigns and send traffic to the new blog post. And if you approve that, the agent goes ahead and executes.
Because, I mean, we started with this ticket view. We're like, oh, this is cool. But then we started to assign ourselves.
Okay.
And that's
As
not so
humans.
cool. Yeah, exactly. Because, I mean, I'm not going to have an AI telling me what to do. And then the AI basically tracked what I was supposed to do. So then we were like, okay, let's just have the AI execute this as well. And then the whole MCP trend came. So we started playing around with that. And,
Because now you get into thinking about recommendation, but then actuation.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into actuation space,
Exactly.
right?
No, but keep to the topic here. I think it's important, thinking here from a more architectural point of view. Should you have one agent to do it all, or should you have separate, more specific agents that have specific purposes? Or can it go a bit more in depth?
Yeah, like I think we always have the context window to think about, of course. Like it's not infinite, it's 1 million now, but like that's easy to burn. So if you specify like a sub-agent's task really well, the sub-agent could execute it, maybe even with a weaker, cheaper, faster model than what you need to actually ideate it and like make sure that this makes sense to do. I mean, this is essentially how human orgs are kind of supposed to work as well.
Cognitive load, ultimately.
Yeah, as well. And also, of course, insight, judgment, context. Like, I mean, the CEO knows the direction that is going and could take, like, we need to do this. Delegates it to somebody that has, like, an idea of kind of how to do it within their specific area. And in the end, it maybe lands in an expert's hands that only thinks about how to make the
So real
latency go
intelligence
down.
in an enterprise is distributed. That's the point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Then no one can understand from direction to coding decision.
No.
And like maybe AI could do that, but you also want parallel execution. You want like idempotent tasks that could like
You want to impose judgments on different layers as an example, right? So if you have no way of going in and
Or do we? I mean, I think it's a question, right? It's not obvious, I think.
But I think for us, it was more like as we build out the product, we needed to do it in steps in order to understand that it was doing the right
it
things.
makes sense.
Practical.
Also.
Yeah, exactly. I think so. And I think also today when we sit in demos and explain it to marketers or CEOs, I mean, they understand it directly because it mimics a human process, basically.
Can you go a bit into the tech stack, or using like LangGraph or something? Or
no, nothing like that. We build in TypeScript, monorepo pretty much.
Okay.
And yeah, no, then it's our own agent harness that we.
No?
Yeah, we haven't talked about. I mean, like that's the new fancy word, harness engineering. You built your own harness. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I
What do you
think
mean
the
with
harness is the product pretty much, but like
Yeah.
what people talk about is of course that like the underlying models themselves have like great capabilities. On top of that, obviously like Anthropic built Claude Code. Claude Code is a set of prompts, it's a set of tools, and they have the added benefit that like all of their RL is probably done with the same set of tools and prompts. So like it becomes really, really strong as a companion to the model. And that tool is made to, fulfill coding tasks pretty much for maybe a single terminal session at a time. Now, obviously, they have web and all of that, but that's roughly what it is, right? A set of primitives for the agent to use, like from the token generation, like now I should emit the tool call, it looks like this, I expect this to come back, etc.
I mean, I don't think people, recognize sometimes the value or the USP that the harness or the scaffolding or the logic around the model actually do have. I mean, I think Sam Altman's once said something like, if your startup or your company doesn't get better as AI improves, then you're on the wrong track in some sense.
Yeah, but I really want Berner to go deep on harness, because I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions by people who don't understand AI engineering, that we have one type of evaluation criteria for a very large, broad language model. It should be general, right? And now we want to use that generality in a specific context, for whatever we want to do, optimize growth or whatever. And all of a sudden now, if we are not putting a harness in relation to the eval criteria we have right now, it will hallucinate by our new standards, right? And I think this is so this is becoming super clear, I think, in Silicon Valley, or we had the guy from Google here, Magnus, right? Who was running the eval criteria for Gemini, right? I was thinking about how the fuck we put eval criteria on something that is general, impossible, So I think this fundamental
But harness
view
is one thing also. I mean, one thing is to put guardrails on it, and another is to put the logic on it, right?
Yeah, and-
what one do you actually
exactly.
put
What is
most
this?
Yeah, I mean, we have our own set of tools. Obviously, like we have a loop that goes around the call that goes to, for example, Anthropic that costs us money, right? That's what the harness is at the very core.
Yeah.
But I like you.
The loop is one thing, then, and you have to have some kind of logic in, when you should stop or when you should do some other calls and agent.
Yeah, of course. Like, right? What prompts do we have? What tools do we have? What type of descriptions comes with the tools? Are skills auto-loading or not? Like, what happens when the task is done? All of this is kind of orchestrated into the whole that is like our Cogny Cloud offering, where like as the task gets delivered, if it's a coding agent task, it becomes a pull request. If it's for example, advertising task, it becomes like analysis ticket in the end, where like another AI takes over, looks at what the first AI did, and tries to do an analysis. If this analysis comes to the conclusion that it's good or bad, we log that. If it comes to the conclusion that this needs to be analyzed in some time, because like SEO takes time, campaign evaluation takes time because you want statistical confidence, etc. Like all of this is the harness.
But me now, I'm really trying to understand and learn this because I'm not an engineer myself. So are we distinguishing between guardrails, harness, or scaffolding? Are we using them interchangeably? Because I think you were highlighting, right? There is more. There is
it's easy to think that harness is about guardrails.
No,
but I think
exactly.
in this sense,
it's much more.
Harness is more the scaffolding. The logic.
I mean, I think about guardrails about it not fucking up, basically.
That's part of it, right?
Yeah,
but harnessing is way more.
And I mean,
Right.
yeah, I would say so. I mean, that's more about creating the value or distilling more value from a general LLM. But the guardrails is like you're not allowed to change bids.
Guardrails is one thing, but a harness should be very tightly connected to the eval criteria for the objective function you're trying to solve, right? I mean, like so when you say harness, it's like you should be doing this, but we also want to evaluate: is it becoming better? I don't know. Is that part of the harness as well?
I mean, we don't train our own models, so we don't have the objective function loop in our own RL. We could do that, but it would probably be kind of expensive. And the question is like, can we keep up with the frontier labs?
Exactly.
And like, I think today the answer is probably no. Like at the same time, we're building a quite interesting data set with like this are marketing experiments that have resulted in growth or not growth, for example.
Like where do you put the memory? Stuff like this. That's
our harness. Yeah.
That's your harness, right?
Of course, like we build like an organizational memory for the customer's account. We try to figure out like what is driving growth for them, what is not, what should they do, what should they not do, like what's the positioning in the market they should like lean into or lean out of. Like all of this is orchestrated within the harness.
So, this is so much more. I mean, I love the definition AI compound system that Berkeley AI Research Lab. I don't know. They put in paper a couple of years back because it highlights there are different things that needs to work in orchestration here, and it maybe the harness way of thinking about this is one way to get more people to understand what this is all about. I don't know. What do you think?
But one way to speak about this is also to use terms like. Going from software engineering to agent engineering, meaning it's more about the engineering you're doing is really trying to orchestrate the agents properly, and then perhaps seeing how can you get them to collaborate properly to do what you want them to do in some way.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we're leaning into that like madmen.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, perhaps that could be a term to use potentially.
And what we launched recently is something we call YOLO mode.
YOLO mode.
Yeah, because I mean,
exactly.
This was another feeling when you sit there and you kind of just approve ticket. It's like, why do I need to sit there and just smash? Maybe you should just auto approve. So then it kind of
scary.
Yeah,
I saw this podcast recently of Andrew Kaparthi, and he doesn't like the term vibe coding, even though he really invented that or coined that term.
That's his fault.
He said, in the beginning, since he's a programmer since very young age, he loved to actually program, and he wants to see the code and he wants to review what the AI is doing. But it came a point very recently, like December last year, where he said, the AI does it right every time. There's no point for me to even look at the code. Yeah. So I become what I don't want to, a vibe coder.
Yeah, I mean, I had that exact same moment with Cogny, actually, because, I mean, we worked with, 10 years training growth hackers and becoming these kind of innovative business people that know technology and marketing, and they are supposed to come up with growth hacks or ideas how to grow a business. And of course, I've been pitched a lot of these ideas through the years. And just in December, actually, Cogny started by chance.
Which underlying model?
4.5, Opus 4.5.
Yeah.
Is it Opus 4.5 moment?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we were sitting like looking at in the ticket board, and we saw all these experiments that Cogny suggested to us, and it was like, oh, this is good. That's good. Where's the hallucination? I was like, oh, this is actually better than my growth hackers I used to train. So I mean, that was our holy shit moment, basically.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
it's really cool. You mentioned, by the way, a bit about MCP as well, and I think for the people that are a bit tech interested here, it would be fun to see, how are you making use of MCP today?
Yeah, MCP is kind of like USB-C, right? It's just a standard to connect something, and for the longest time it like did have some momentum, but now I think it's really gathering momentum, like at an insane level. So we basically leaned into that. We build all our own connections to other platforms as MCPs. We federate those MCPs into our own MCP.
And what does MCP stand for? And
it's
what
like
and do we have alternatives?
There are a few that are like semi-alternatives, I would say, like agent-to-agent protocol would be one, for example, proposed by Google, but like I would say pretty much no traction.
So MCP stands for
Model Context
Model
Protocol.
Context Protocol.
It's now owned by the Linux Foundation, but originally from Anthropic.
And from Anthropic Linux Foundation, it becomes then the standard language connection, interconnection.
Protocol, yeah.
It's a standard protocol for connecting agent work.
Yeah, the way that I explain it to business people is just that it's an API that an agent can talk to.
Yeah, it's an API and a protocol specifically for agents.
Yes.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it has like authentication primitives, for example. So like I could come to Stripe, I could say I'm a Stripe user and now I want to use your thing in my agent. Then I connect to their MCP server and I can then authenticate with Stripe using the MCP protocol. Like one thing that is notably missing is of course payments.
Yeah.
There is apparently like a
This
pull
will
request. Yeah, it's in the works, but it's not on the prioritized list of things that they will focus on this year.
And if I understand this, like I have never done MCP engineering, but I know API engineering really well. I've been using APIs all my life. Is it different?
It is, because the MCP is kind of a little bit more alive. It's more agentic from an API point of view, if you will. So a typical API, I would like expect you to give me maybe your Swagger spec or an open API definition or something like that. I'm going to go off as a happy developer and hand code it. Like now we're in the 2010s era.
Yeah, I
right?
have your documentation. I have all this, and now I do my shit.
Trust that you do exactly what you say, and then I can do exactly the same, and like we're all happy.
Yeah.
But Model Context Protocol can like change endpoints depending on context, can provide example prompts.
So they can be more
resources.
dynamic with each other.
Yeah, they can.
That's good.
Whereas I guess also less demand on humans, so to speak. In an API, you normally have to have some kind of coding being done to use the API.
Yeah, this is just plug and play. Like the agent figures out in real time how to use it.
So you can just take an URL to an MCP and add it to another agent, and it starts to make use of it without you having to do any specific coding.
Exactly. And now there's even MCP apps. So like the MCP can then like inject UI that optionally could be rendered by the MCP client.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Like, I mean, that means that, for example, in Cogny, we have this concept of core metrics. Like we ask the user to, obviously with the help of AI, define what they really care about. And then we're going to optimize that, of course. But it's much easier if we know what they measure. And then this can become like your core KPI card. And we can actually design a little UI component. So if you connect your Claude cowork to the Cogny MCP, and then you ask like, how is my KPIs going? We can even send like a user-friendly version of that rather than just like the JSON numbers or whatever.
So when you start thinking layers on layers on layer, imagine what you could use for it. It's so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about, like, I think most people are in this kind of copy and paste mode with their AI. They're like going into this system, copy pasting that, and then pasting it into the AI and sitting and they're like back and forth and back and forth. And I mean, the MCP just completely destroys that, and you don't have to do anything anymore. You can just, ask the AI to go and fetch your data in that system, crunch it the way you want it, and then send it off to that system. So
And like a concrete example, like, so yesterday there was this Y Combinator event. Obviously, like, that's kind of our ICP, a lot of startup founders who want growth. We provide growth engineering as an AI. So then I asked Cogny to launch an X ads campaign, targeting Stockholm, targeting people like Y Combinator profiles followers. And it then went to basically Nano Banana using MCP, generated a couple of ads, like we were ideating about like what vibe we should go with, etc. And then it launched the campaigns on X, and it was like, I was cooking food for the kids in the meantime. So
but we are getting to a very different world now, with people who are getting it and using these tools versus the rest. This is the gap is widening right now.
Yeah.
Fast.
And I mean, we can notice that when we sit in demo meetings. I mean, we can, like, in 5 minutes in, we know what stage they're in, basically.
Yeah, and how do you differentiate your selling or your communication with them when you realize someone is less mature and someone gets it? Because this is now getting, this is Mars and Venus stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think it has to do a lot with trust, because as this December moment, that's when you start to trust the AI basically for coding. And I think every human needs to go through that phase basically. So if we notice that they're not leaning in that much to AI, then we focus more on the kind of analytical AI part, and like, you probably run a couple of campaigns here and there, and it's probably a hassle for you to, again, paste and copy all the data and create a report. So that Cogny can help you out.
AI thing down, really.
Yeah, exactly. And just like, you can start with reporting stuff. Your team will get more insights, and then when you're happy with that, we can connect a couple of MCPs, and then you can start executing. Basically.
And how does it sound when someone is switched on, like someone is on it?
They just want to know more and more and more. Like, they just connect every MCP that they have, and like, let's go.
We show the reports. Okay, so this, I can really use this to execute. Let us come to the next point in the presentation.
And they hook up their GitHub account, and
What should we call this? I mean, if we have agentic development or agentic coding, is this basically agentic marketing then? Or what would be a good term?
But Cogny does coding as well. So, I mean, I would call it like data-driven marketing and coding.
The insane thing is it's coding as well, right? Because as you are coming up with an execution, you build just in time what you need to build.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
like obviously subject to human approval. We don't have an auto PR merger, but
Yet.
But like, I mean, for sure, in many cases, like the solution could be partially changing the code and also partially doing actuation in different marketing systems, or sending a new newsletter, or like.
But because this is also a little bit, I asked you before, are you for product teams or are you for marketing teams, or you're right on the intersect? I think you're right on the intersect, right?
Yeah,
and I think like one of the core ICPs is really CEOs. Like, so somebody said that, like I just hired a AI transformation guy, blah blah, and then I think it was Gary Tan on Y Combinator that was like, the CEO should really be the AI transformation guy, like. And I think it's true. Like, it's in the end, like, it all boils down to that. Like, it's where the main agency of the company comes from, or should come from, and.
You so I understand. So when you say this is an CEO play, it's like you really need to decide where you want to put autonomy agency and where you want to put people, hire guys, and where you want to put in agents now.
Yeah, but it's also like,
that's what you mean, right?
No, but it's also that Cogny does all of these roles for you. So now you don't necessarily need specialists. Them. You can just,
that becomes it becomes the step to the one-man unicorn.
Yeah,
and that's why it's a CEO question.
Yeah. And it could be like, I mean, should the marketing department decide your pricing strategy? But maybe your pricing strategy decides your marketing success. And this kind of converges usually on the CEO or that sort of level.
Exactly. The interface.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if we should move into, I mean, you're both experts in search engine optimization as well, and search engine marketing, but I guess nowadays, you have AI agents answering questions more than search engines.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about this? Is this changing how you do the work? If you want to get noticed these days, in terms
for sure.
of
Definitely. I mean, it's
all I think about, how can I insert myself in the right context?
yeah,
How can we be found in the agent space?
Yeah, exactly. And like, who will use this data that I enter here? How?
yeah.
Exactly. So what?
What's the answer?
What's the fucking answer?
No, but I
Teach
mean,
me.
of course. I mean, you can go all different directions with this, but I think where we are right now in the market, you kind of just have to make your content readable for LLMs and structure it in a way so that
So
LLMs
let's
can
break
read
that
it.
down. Step 1, getting out of the search engine into the agentic mode, so ChatGPT or anyone can find you. You need to be readable. You need to be structured. You need to be coded in a certain way. Could you just elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, they like bullets, they like tables, they like things like that. So it's
And
not.
they also like all of that to be server rendered.
So
Yeah.
there's a couple of details I've learned about this, like server rendered. Sorry, I'm getting excited. So I'm using
It's exciting.
Goran. Sorry.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, but I mean, the whole internet is being rebuilt as we speak, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, like somebody thought it was a good idea that the client computer should be big and should do a lot of computation. That's why like my Chrome takes 60 gigabytes of RAM now, right?
Yeah.
And that means the browser is like a fully built, super complex application where you can find like a lot of security holes, etc.
Yeah.
And it also means that to consume this content, you need to execute JavaScript, you need to have a lot of RAM as well. But most agents are not full Chrome browsers. It's not a very like computer program friendly interface. That's why it's better to have like server-side rendered so that you take back this compute that you have offloaded to your customers and you render the page from day one, right? And they can just download it as text and parse out the information they need. On top of that, there are ways to structure the information with, for example, structured data standards like this LD-JSON format that makes it easier for agents to consume the data on the page.
So we're getting back to how you structure the web page and back to good old HTML rather than all these scripts and everything else.
Yeah, it could be that. It could be like markdown versions being served. That's another track that people are taking. Like obviously with an HTTP request, you could specify which format you prefer to get the response in, and you have the option to then, if they say they wanted a markdown, actually give them markdown rather than all of these extra worthless HTML tokens that will make it look pretty for a human, but will make it like look messy for an agent.
But I mean, these tactics aren't bad for SEO either. So
No.
I mean, you could do both at the same time because LLM Googles as well. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's not bad to do
Exactly.
SEO and
You say Google, but you mean search.
Of
Google
course,
search,
yeah,
right? And if you do use ChatGPT or whatnot, I mean, they do still use the normal kind of search engine
Exactly.
underneath,
So-
even though you don't always see it.
Yeah.
But then, is there? I mean, there are similarities then, as you say. That so it's probably good to optimize for both.
Yeah.
It wouldn't hurt you to do that. But I don't know the answer. But is there a way, besides the format that you put on the page, how should you be recognized for when an agent do search, when an agent do web search?
Yeah, they Google in a very different way, or they search in a
right?
very different way. They use more words. They formulate themselves differently. Like they usually do this query fan out, is what they call it. So like you, the user, have one question, but they will do like 10 to 100 different web searches and visit a bunch of pages.
Slightly different prompts or questions they
Yeah,
are.
exactly. Small aspects of this. What you're trying to find the best apple tree to plant this time of
And
year.
they do 100 versions of that question,
Yeah,
literally.
with slight variations. And if you can start figuring out what these variations are, like commonly, you can then start optimizing your content for that. And there's a quite interesting metric, like if we want to talk hard numbers here, because most of the search providers aren't sharing data around this, but Microsoft Bing is doing that. They have a tool called Bing Webmaster Tools. You prove that you own the web page, and then basically you will get impression statistics, click statistics from their traditional search, and then they also launched an AI citation statistics page.
Oh.
Yeah. First,
Wow.
so that's the only official, because all the other providers you see out there, they basically come up with probable prompts, and then they run that prompt through all the LLMs, and then they read the result.
Yeah, and then they also pollute their own measurement.
Yeah.
Oh, you appear more and more in the searches related to what you monitor. How
But
weird.
this is so interesting. How do you look at the industry that you're coming from with the CEO people? Because a lot of the marketing people and CEO people were not really so deep coders. Are they keeping track? Can they follow into this? Will we learn this, or is this a different type of agency you need to get help from?
Yeah, I mean, I think that has historically been why you go to growth hackers, because you need all that technology to help you, and it's not necessarily you're going to see that on billboards or anything like that, but you get solid data you can trust, and you get like an infrastructure that you can run experiments in and things like that. And that's actually the problem we're trying to solve with Cogny.
Yeah, exactly.
We remove all that scaffolding basically that you need. You need to have GA4 accounts, you need to have GTM set up, you need to have a good structure of your homepage, you need to have all this. Now you can just get recommendations from Cogny, and Cogny will take care of all that scaffolding for you basically.
Cool. And yes.
It's time for AI News, brought to you by AIAW Podcast.
So we usually take a small break in the middle of the podcast and just talk about the recent most exciting AI news that we can think of. Could we perhaps ask Tom and Berner, do you have any news stories that you read recently that you'd like to share something about?
I mean, what I read this morning when I woke up, it's always something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always.
But it was that Stripe had launched a Link CLI.
Right.
And obviously, like, CLIs are this like third leg of MCP alternatives, not A2A, but like the other way to do it is just that you ship a CLI that can do everything that you want the API to
And
do.
you're very technical, Berner, but I think, CLI, it's a terminal tool, basically. that
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
use, right?
command line interface.
You don't have to deal with every day.
Should I be cool or should I?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you have to give a little bit of context.
And why is Link CLI then so cool?
Yeah.
It basically is a command line tool where we now can create payments that the user then can approve. And Link is like Stripe's pay with one-click solution. So basically now I can give my agent the possibility to spend money.
But this
via
sounds super
CLI.
dangerous, right? If you give OpenClaw then access to Link CLI, then they can make payments for you, right?
Yeah, I think there's still a human approval element, but the whole like commerce layer of it is unlocked. And
But
that's
the commercial infrastructure is there now.
Yeah, I mean,
well, this is an attempt to at least start it. So I think that now I can like programmatically tell an agent that like it's a payment you need to make, you need to input this into your CLI, and then it will prompt a human to approve it. So like I think the example from the CEO of Stripe was that like I asked if it was OpenClaw to buy something for yourself, and then he had like a screenshot of the payment approval prompt that he got. And I think that like this whole agentic commerce area is of course super interesting, both from like just a shopping perspective with like B2C products, but also like from a SaaS perspective, like how can we enable agents to buy our services?
But it fundamentally, we talked about it, the behavior around commerce is going to get into a new arena eventually.
That's
Definitely.
a different world.
Yeah.
And especially in marketing, because we usually have to, buy advertising spaces here and there. And if you can get that agentic, then that would open up a lot of media space for a lot smaller players.
If we take Peter, who created OpenClaw, he actually prefers CLIs to MCP, by the way.
Yeah, he did add MCP now though, so
he
he's
did.
partially reversed that take, I think. But yeah, I know it's very common. Like we think about building a Cogny CLI as well. It's actually already being built. So
what's the difference? I don't understand.
Yeah,
MCP based or CLI based? What is the distinction?
So MCP is basically an HTTP protocol at the base. Like it's HTTP RCP, remote procedure calls. Like it's a very defined way to build an HTTP API that then the agents can follow. But a CLI, on the other hand, it could be anything. It's just a command that you can run, and then it will print text and hopefully do something as well.
So it's even more open, more flexible in that sense.
But at the same time, you need like a command line interface or like your own computer to run it, basically install the command, etc.
For OpenClaw, it's easier because it has a terminal. It can easily just execute the CLI, and it's a bit more flexible, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah, and a lot of services don't have MCPs. And you can, like, if you have a coding agent, you can produce a CLI maybe more easily than an MCP.
Good point.
So that's why it's very good for OpenClaw, that it can basically tell the agent.
And your line of thinking is to have both.
Yeah, so we're gonna build a CLI that then calls the MCP. But it's serving both niches.
Yeah. That's a good story.
Yeah.
Good one.
Tom, do you have anything specific?
Well, I do share this kind of geopolitical interest that you have on the show. I mean, I like the story about the Meta Manus deal.
Yes.
And how China just basically reversed that.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of hard to do because those people at Manus are now working in Meta. And
some more background.
Yeah, what is Manus? What is the background here?
Yeah, so I mean, Manus is a Chinese model, or they started in China. They moved to Hong Kong and then to Singapore to kind of wash their Chinese.
So also like a pre-OpenClaw version.
Yeah, it's more of a harness than a model, I would say. You could plug in multiple models into Manus, I think. But it's for sure, like, I guess it means hands. So it's like a claw's hands. It's a similar idea, but more cloud hosted than you run it on your own computer.
And what was the fundamental pushback?
Because China wants more AI power, basically. I guess that Meta, of course, desperately needed some type of AI hit. Zuckerberg has tried a lot, and
he's just buying stuff.
Exactly.
So he wanted to buy it, and he got pushed back.
He bought it. It went through. They signed everything. The people went in. They even integrated Manus into the Meta advertising platform, and apparently, the revenue for Meta jumped like 30% for a quarter when they did that, because the Meta interface for us marketers is extremely complicated. So having a conversational agent to talk to is, of course, fantastic. And then China kind of went in and said, hey, this can't be happening.
I mean, it's interesting how more and more of the trade or the collaboration is being blocked, over the geopolitics. And normally it's US that block access for China to get access to NVIDIA chips and other technologies.
Like the TikTok.
Yes.
Yeah.
The TikTok, now it's reversed.
Yeah.
And now China is blocking US instead. So, so it's getting, I guess, more and more polarized.
And back to what we talked about before, like this is being such a big change for humanity that it's not something you can really just leave. They have to pick the fight, basically.
Yeah.
I think there's another interesting twist here in this, like, who's leading the AI race story, who's blocking who. Now it seems like this is one other indication from that angle that they're doing great stuff in China, they're doing great stuff in US. So it's not like one is always the top dog blocking the other ones. No, it's much more similar.
Yeah.
And if you factor in robotics, of course, that's where they're really...
Now it gets interesting.
Conversation starts, I think.
And of course, power. I mean, China has a lot more power than US. So, I mean...
Electric power.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, super interesting future for sure.
Yeah, good story. Thanks for that one.
Geopolitics plays out in coming years. That will certainly be interesting.
What about you, Anders?
Well, this is not geopolitics, but it's more US politics, perhaps. But I think the acquisition or offer to acquire Cursor, which SpaceX did, was interesting.
Yeah.
So you can, SpaceX, they recently acquired XAI. It's a set of these Elon companies, and XAI have had Grok as, one frontier model. It's not been going super well for Grok, and it's, I guess, not having had the progress they were hoping. And he fired a lot of people from XAI recently, and it could be because of the acquisition in SpaceX. But
I think he said that it needs to be rebuilt from the ground up or something like that, didn't
a strong indicator that something is not right.
So one of Elon's companies is buying one of his other companies.
No, but that was before. So SpaceX already acquired
when was
XAI a month ago or something.
Yeah.
But now
Eons in AI time.
Yes.
But now, then a week ago, then SpaceX put an offer up for Cursor, and Cursor is, very famous coding environment and very popular in the enterprise business, similar to Claude and Claude Code. But
and I mean, they are the ones that define this tab paradigm pretty much. Like, I guess it was in GitHub Copilot before, but they made it like wildly popular and has grown to a bigger size than Lovable. And like,
yeah.
they
But I
have
think
a
we've
lot
had
of
this
coding users. And that's what
on
I
the
guess-
show. What's your favorite combo? Has been the question a couple of times. Oh, it's the cursor.
Yeah, no, of course, a
Cursor
lot of
Anthropic.
people have that answer.
That is the answer for many people as the main combo, right?
And you can think about why he's doing this. One, of course, could be that Grok is not progressing at the scale that he wants to, and Cursor actually are building their own models as well, Composer, and then some are rumoring that Anthropic is, fighting Elon, and they cut Elon or Tesla and SpaceX off from Claude, and potentially they have to have their own coding agent, and then Grok is not, progressing in coding as I hoped. So this could be a way for them to simply accelerate a lot.
And it's also, of course, a treasure trove of data around coding, successful coding outcomes, etc. That is like he can't build that by himself because nobody uses Grok.
For
Like
coding purposes.
Yeah, you could try to simulate it, but it won't be the same as like coding in the wild. And
But this makes sense. He knows the benefit of data in his cars. Driving data in his cars. So now I want driving data in the coding.
I mean, getting access to all the enterprise users that they have, but also the data they have provided throughout the years, of course, will help them to build. And then on the other side, XAI have the big Colossus data center, which is the biggest one in the world, more or less. So then Cursor can use that to continue to build their models even faster, potentially.
But Cursor was separate, right? Who was the founders of Cursor? Wasn't even a Swedish guy in there?
Yeah, one of the four
One
was
of them, yeah.
Swedish. But he actually left Cursor now, so he's not part of it anymore. But he was...
But have they been able to stay independent the whole way through until now, Cursor? Or who is he buying Cursor from? I don't know this.
Yeah, I mean, they had, I think, 3 or
VC.
4 founding rounds or something, but they are still VC founded.
Yeah.
But I think the interesting part here is also that SpaceX, is rumored, of course, to do the IPO very soon for the small amount of like $2 trillion or something.
Which is insane. I mean, it's the IPO wars now with OpenAI, Anthropic, and SpaceX, and then they're saying that you don't want to be number 2 or 3 because the one that goes first is basically going to take all the money that's exists in the world. Basically.
What you're
Biggest
talking about
IPO
is not
ever, so it's insane how big it can be. And then given that it's going to happen rather shortly, and I'm sure they're doing all the filing preparation now for the IPO, then it's super hard for them to actually do this acquisition. So they're actually not acquiring Cursor right now, but they are giving an offer. I think they actually got the right to buy Cursor, but they're not going to do it now.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think he is kind of, Elon, uniquely positioned to get value from buying it. So like for most companies, it would be pretty expensive to buy Cursor today for 60 billion. And like they are under massive threat, both from obviously Anthropic and Claude Code, and then like more recently, like OpenAI, GPT-5.
So he's the logical buyer.
Yeah,
I
but
think
like
he
has the scale on the data center side, or is planning to build it. So like for him, it's super valuable.
But you said something on the IPO. I just wanted to make sure because I thought that was pretty cool. You mean the one is not announcing it, but the one executing it? You want to be first executing on this super massive IPO. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Because then the money dries up.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I listen to these financial analysts, and they're like, so many people wants to go into these type of IPOs, and if you do them, like it's like a movie premiere. If you have Avatar going up with another big movie at the same weekend, then people can't go to 2 movies at the same time.
But it's also even worse because of obviously all of this cash is not sitting as cash; it's sitting as assets in other companies, and like they're gonna have to pull it from somewhere. And they can't pull infinite to put everywhere. So,
but imagine the capital they will have now from this IPO, and then they're going to build Terrafab, as we spoke about in the beginning. And,
Yeah, I think that's the reason why he's doing it. I mean, Elon has never had problem raising cash, but it takes time. He has to go around, meet the investors, and now he can just basically use the exchange for that. So I think it's with his plan, he needs this hose of cash.
Yeah, and I think potentially the IPO could go up because of this, because it will create some kind of, because Grok is not progressing perhaps at the same pace he's hoping for, and with this acquisition locked in, so to speak, the price in the IPO could potentially go up. I don't know.
And I think also like 90% of the value of SpaceX is actually Starlink.
Right.
So I mean, that's what people are investing in, and I think Starlink is a hugely fantastic business model. So
yeah. Awesome.
Good news.
Anything, Goran?
Any Goran?
No?
Want to add
Yes,
something?
I would like to say something.
Oh, you don't have a mic. Oh.
Well, shouldn't we talk about the nerfing of Claude?
No, please. Tell me.
Yeah, so I guess the vibe or the rumor or what people are talking about is, of course, that this new like Claude Opus 4.7 is way worse than 4.6.
Way worse even.
Yeah, it's like they, and if you look at like the benchmarks that they published, like one of the things where they did some progress was in safety. And this is of course related to the whole Mythos thing as well. I think that they started to think more about like the potential cybersecurity offensive capabilities of the models. But when they've done like maybe that safety improvement, or if it's just like running it more quantized on like cheaper, faster way to run it, basically you decrease the number of bits for each parameter. Then it has resulted in the model not being as good as it was a month ago. So I think the vibe, like you see a lot of people saying they're moving to Codex and GPT 5.5.
I mean, the word on the street is if you look at the data center investment, they're last. They have this deal with AWS, but that's going to take
And on growth, they were top. So this is the problem. Like
Exactly.
they've gotten too successful for their own compute.
That's hard.
And
hardcore.
I mean, I think there was this really interesting interview with Dario like a few months back where he was describing this dilemma where like, if you overestimate your amount of customers, you have to basically invest so much that you're going to go bankrupt. And if you underestimate, like, then you won't have any compute to train the next model. And now they're trying to thread that needle. So like giving less to inference, they still need to keep training the next model, but users are noticing because there's just so many of them now.
Wow.
It's a fight for the compute, it seems like. What was it? It was, who was it? Jensen Huang, I think, NVIDIA CEO, said the 5-layer cake. It was the energy, chips, compute infrastructure, model, and application, I think.
Yes.
Right? And if you lack or have a bottleneck in any of them, you will be, screwed more or less. So it seems a lot are bottlenecked on the compute layer right now.
Yeah, and will continue to be, I think. I mean, Elon Musk has said that he thinks that in 36 months, the cheapest place to build compute will be space.
Yes.
And I mean,
Space data centers.
Yeah, a lot of like linear curves on log plots point to that, right?
But also energy then. But then being in space, you basically have infinite energy from the sun as well. So
and you don't have to cool it.
yeah. Well, yes, I think you do. By the way,
Do you? Do you have space?
No, it's super hard to cool, I think, in space.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought that, space is cool.
No, you can't transfer the heat out. It's kind of tough, actually.
Okay, that's
But I think he
interesting.
has some interesting techniques from all the Starlink satellites he already have. So he knows how to do
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
But it's not that easy, apparently.
Okay, but I heard somewhere that he needs to also send like a rocket every 5 minutes to get them out, which is insane.
Yeah. But I heard,
Yeah.
But sometimes I just wonder, okay, IPO this, terafab that. Is it just bullshit, or is it any sense in this, or is it just blown out of proportion and we're going to see something different in reality?
But what do you think is driving him, if not like, to me, it looks like his decisions are mainly based in this like almost existential dread that like we're gonna somehow fuck it up. And
Yeah, I think maybe he as a person is driven by those kind of motivations more than normal people.
He's taking on the mission to make life multiplanetary. Like if his main motivation was to be able to drink like pina coladas every day, that he could have stopped after PayPal.
But
right?
okay, so let me reframe the question. I have no doubt he is actually completely sincere in the intention and what he wants to do. But is there a feasibility in it, or is it something you can aim for and have that as your hardcore goal, but shoot for the stars, and you will reach the treetops? what's the reality here, or is this the reality? That's my question more. So I'm not questioning he's being insincere. I'm just questioning where will it land.
I mean, these tech CEOs are probably, I don't know, not the best people on the planet, but they do see farther into the future than we do. I definitely think that, and I think that the whole Claude nerfing is a tell that people are using AI a lot. I think that I read another analysis that the revenue coming from Anthropic, they can't just be coming from like IT budgets. They're like eating into HR budgets now. If you can't grow that fast, basically. So I think it's moving faster than we think, and we all lived through the IT era or the internet era, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's going to fly in cars and everything," and then that didn't really happen. So maybe it's kind of that situation, or they see something that we don't.
I mean, it's a good old saying, like you always underestimate the short-term impact, but underestimate the long-term. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, maybe it's that simple, right? I was
like
thinking exactly like this. Like we were overestimating how fast the internet would grow, but in reality, 15, 20 years later, everything and more happened, right?
Yeah.
Except if you're Ray Kurzweil, then it's like just on timetable.
Yeah, exactly.
only one, that's
He's
the-
nailing it, by the way.
Yeah. Cool.
29, right?
But
29,
29, yeah, I suppose.
AGI, yeah.
AGI.
I think you mentioned, Berner and Tom, something about code bases may be replaced by CMS platforms or something in the future. Can you elaborate what you meant with that?
Yeah, I think that's the other way around. So basically, like CMS content management systems was basically built as a way to enable non-coders to build out content on websites, to manage websites. And it helped humans back then. But now it's actually in the way because they add so much extra scaffolding and limitations where like basically AI natively speaks code, like maybe even more than language even.
And if you take like the SEO and geo perspective on that as well, when Google is supposed to read a site and it's a WordPress site that has a lot of other code that's not maybe relevant for the specific site. If you go like pure code, then there is no code kind of unnecessary there. So it becomes faster, it becomes just easier to read, you rank better, it's just basically...
So what you're saying in layman's terms, we used CMS systems like WordPress or others in order to basically improve our speed of building websites. And when
I would say democratize it.
We democratize building websites to designers or whatever you want to call it. And now in reality, we can democratize in another way through coding assistance, and we build real websites in code that way instead.
And democratize it even more because like all CMSs have like limits in terms of like what you can do.
But what is then the ultimate? Let's follow that trajectory. I love that idea. Where would you go as a designer who can't code now then? Would you continue with WordPress or would you go into Lovable or how would you go about, or use Cursor and Sonnet?
I think Claude design is pretty good. Like you could do that.
So you can continue working with Figma, which is, and you can just have the MCP with Claude Code and,
So the logic is Figma maybe, and then with Figma into how?
Yeah, and use kind of Claude Code, connect Figma, and then you can, publish your sites. Because, I mean, when you ask Claude to generate a site, you get one of their templates. And you kind of have to push it rather hard to do something unique.
So that's what Figma is still strong at, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But that's at the moment because like Figma is still also kind of like a CMS for design, right? It has a framework for like what you should put in, set schemas, and like they have built this whole product with some ideas in mind how it should work. And obviously code is more expressive than that. And like with the coding capabilities just scaling, like Claude or some other model will win with code in the end.
But this is vastly interesting how this plays out now, because I've been onto this conversation even for my own company, right?
Yeah.
Where we are not growing. We are very careful of how and what type of competences we're growing and where we're building stuff right now. And the core logic that we sort of installed was we want to follow the trajectory of the core coding tools. So where is our content management right now? We are thinking about GitHub, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You see what I mean, right? Of
course.
So we are building everything we write, let's write it in Markdown.
Yeah.
Immediately. So I'm writing in my daily blah, blah, blah in Markdown, and then I'm taking it different things. And this is exactly the point. Should we go WordPress? Should we go HubSpot? Or no, we should go somewhere else.
Yeah,
Very, very interesting for a very big portion of the market.
Yeah, I read the statistics that WordPress is like 43% of all the sites globally.
Yeah, this is the statistic
crazy.
I'm thinking about, right?
But that also makes it a target. I mean, we had a customer that got hacked.
Yeah.
And their main page got basically redirected to a gambling site, which meant that they got thrown out of SEO and Google, and so being on a platform like that is also a risk. Whereas if you have your own code, you can do.
But what is your bet? I mean, like, you're going to advise me. I'm going to buy your consultancy for Derdax. How are we going to think about this? So we're going to go document. The same way as we do code, we do text. No problem. MD, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go, no, HubSpot was the first one that went. I want to go more open source. I want to go something which is fundamental open source coding frameworks and build my own code. I mean, React, what am I doing?
Yeah, I think Next is a pretty strong candidate, which is, of course, like a React framework.
Yeah.
You could also do like Astro is another that has like excellent track record in terms of page speed, so you could do that.
But this is going the code route rather than the WordPress route.
Yeah, no, of course, 100%
Yeah.
code.
This is
Like
so-
a monorepo is also the way to go, of course, because if you have multiple repositories, it's much harder to coordinate your coding agents across them. Like, it's possible. I do it for like one particular repo, but we have only two pretty much. So otherwise, you want all the code and all the context in the same place. Like,
Exactly.
we're context
Exactly.
maximalists.
This is the whole point. This is why everything is in GitHub.
Yeah, and we talked to CEOs or customers that basically sat like, I was on a rock concert on the way home from the train. I just sat and vibe coded a replica of my site, put it on GitHub, and now it's performing way better than my CMS.
But if we go a bit more philosophical here and say that, okay, AI is allowing us to remove some of the abstraction levels we had in the past, like a CMS system is something that non-coders can use to then build stuff, and Figma is as well. And then you can move down the abstraction level and say we can work on the coding level for non-coders directly. But then if we think even further here, and I'm going a bit extreme, but I'm quoting Elon, and I'm actually quoting Andrew Karpathy as well, saying he tried to build this some kind of menu app, or just for sake of experimentation. But then you can think, okay, before you had some kind of menu you wanted to have, you could do that in a CMS. Then you can switch to code, you can do it very easily. But potentially you can move down and say, I just want to use Nano Banana or an image generator to do the actual menu, and I don't need the code in between to do so. Because the code in itself is just, rendering some kind of image anyway. So why not cut the code out as well?
Yeah.
And then Elon has said, sometimes, he believes, the future thing with apps and having a mobile phone, and that you may not need apps at all. And the only thing you have really is an AI and some kind of visual interface where the pixels are being generated directly by the AI. And you don't have these kind of steps in between with some machine code or some Python code or TypeScript or some kind of CMS system. You just have the AI generating the pixels like Nano Banana style. Mm-hmm. And that's the way interfaces will work in the future. What do you think? Is that too extreme? Or?
I mean, it's probably an interface for humans.
Yeah.
But then you have, of course, agent-to-agent interface, which if you're going that far into the future, then, I'd see a homepage today like a rendered page basically, but in the future you will probably have some part that is code, which is like open APIs that the agents can use, and some part like you're describing, the images or customer support.
Agents could talk in latent space, right? Or they don't need pixels, right? I guess.
No,
exactly. It would just burn too many tokens, I guess.
Well, why would you need exactly, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I mean, I think in this example, which is interesting, right? The fact that the model is supposed to take this menu and then visualize like his app was supposed to do is probably also some prompting or memory, right? Because he would need to ask for it the first time, or if it happens without asking and he says like, don't do that again, I want to actually read, like with through my AI glasses or whatever device is using, right? Then it needs to remember that and don't do it. And then this like instruction do or don't is also kind of like code or a prompt, right?
But it's English at least. I mean, it's the human kind of sensors.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
So the
eyes
question
and
is
mouth, right?
like,
More
do
or
you
less,
want it to be like, but you're gonna store it, right? As some sort of context in this like whole memory for this multimodal LLM or something like that. But so then the question is like, do you want it to be probabilistic or deterministic? If you want it to be deterministic, then you probably want code because it can be repeatably, verifiably done again, hopefully. But if you want it to be kind of more probabilistic, more intention level rather than like exact specifics, then you can do it more as a prompt.
Can you give an example when you want it to be deterministic?
Yes,
Truly.
absolutely.
Okay.
So I have this project at home.
Okay.
I'm rebuilding a Volvo
And I'm
valve.
going to be a bit difficult when you. So okay, but please.
Okay. So I have a Volvo valve that I'm rebuilding to an electric car. So I'm going to swap the petrol engine to electric.
Yeah.
And to do this, I need a coupler between like the gearbox of the old car and the splines of the shaft of the new electric engine.
Right.
And this is a fairly custom part. Like there are one guy that I know that has done this before on the whole internet, pretty much. There might be more.
With Volvo Valpen specifically.
Yeah, with Volvo specifically. So basically, then I need like somebody to cut me these splines for the gearbox because the motor choice is kind of common.
Okay.
And to test this, then I basically had Claude, like I took some pictures of the splines, gave them to Claude, and had Claude produce code that will then 3D print to these splines.
Yeah.
And then I can test it. But now that I tested it, I want the exact same outcome again when I go to the machine shop and cut this out in the metal. I don't want a slight variation. Like the first attempt, actually, like Claude made the splines inverted shape. So like they were a circle in the middle. They were wider at the wrong end.
So after you tested it, you want it to be the same all the time.
Yeah. So I love that this is
But what does that have to do
deterministic
with
code.
code or a model? I mean,
Yeah, so
then
if I just like told the same thing again, it might make a different mistake the next time. But now I want it reproducible because I tried it in plastic, and next
isn't
time.
that just to memorize something rather than actually generate something? I mean, then
But then it would memorize the code.
Yes.
Like this is like it's a Python code that outputs a 3D model.
yeah.
So should it memorize that specific code? But then it's stored as code in the memory. So it
But
like
you could just memorize the exact 3D model that you have produced from it, right? That you don't need the code at all.
yeah, potentially. But then like that's also like I suppose.
I actually had these kind of similar discussions in the past, and it's actually I think it's super hard to really motivate really strong determinism here. But I could be wrong.
But I think it's a deeper question here because you are speaking on this on such a high level or nerdy level, and when you hear the fundamental media or someone who's not into the details, or say, how can we have stochastic systems ever do reproducible tasks? And I say, well, you are not calling LLM the system, I hope. I hope you have a harness. I hope you have a AI compound system, don't you? What do you mean? I'm like, oh my God. I mean, like, so we're literally trying to use math that is not done for reproducible things. So what I'm hearing is like how we look at the whole to where do we want how do we want to use it, and then this is actually memory. I'm from memory. So then you worked around the deterministic problem, right? So this is what your angle is, that yes, we need reproducibility and exactness, but we can get it in a different way. Or what is your angle on this?
Well, some people argue from a security point of view, it's super important to have deterministic solutions that you can also have transparency in, for example, and also that reproduce the same thing.
And verifiability in my case, right?
Yes. But verifiability, I think you can solve by having good memory instead.
Yeah, potentially if you memorize it in the same form. But then maybe the most dense way to save this is actually the program that generates the 3D model.
Could be. But yeah, maybe not. But anyway, I think it's an interesting question.
Agree to disagree.
No, but it's unsolved.
I think, so many people are stuck in the idea that you need to understand code to trust anything. And that is the problem I'm having. So if you simply believe that just because you have the Python code available somewhere in some repo, then it's trustworthy. I don't buy that argument because code, you can't really trust. If you have a million lines of code, how can you trust that? You can't, as a human, have a full overview of everything happening there.
And especially not Python code, since there's like infinite layers below, pretty much.
I think people have an overbelief in the trustworthiness of code compared to models, and that's what I'm arguing a bit.
Okay. Do you write code, by the way?
Yeah, reluctantly.
Reluctantly, I can hear that.
But I'm getting.
But you read everything that it...
No, but I can see many cases where AI do not solve the task, and I have to help it. I mean,
Okay.
if we take a simple example, like some kind of bug that is a bit more difficult than a standard bug. As a human, you can actually put in a breakpoint and actually do troubleshooting in a very interactive way, which an AI actually cannot do today.
Yeah.
Or can it? I mean, depends if you use a CLI tool to do it or not.
Well, they can put like print statements and stuff and run it and see what happens. But we can, as humans, do a much more, I would say, efficient interaction in the debugging phase than AI, at least today, can, until they have, that type of functionality properly.
Yeah, but like if you take like a C debugger or something like that, like there are interactive interfaces, but if they would break down that into like a CLI with sessions.
Yes, but they don't do that today, right?
No, of course, but like you
they
should.
could.
If,
In the future,
if I spent a
absolutely.
lot of time like building kernel code, for example,
Yeah.
that's what I would do. Like I would make sure that the
But
agent could do
I think
all
it's
the
so strange
debugging.
that we don't have that today, right?
Yeah, some
Good.
people probably do, but like I mean, it's
It-
very unevenly distributed for sure.
It will count for sure, because I think it's so powerful, and I can see myself when I fixing some bugs that I try to use the agent, I always do, but then it fails, and then I go in and I can then so much easier fix it. So there are many cases just
By
because-
reading the code.
Yes,
Okay.
But there
And
is like,
debugging.
I mean, there are examples like this. For example, like this whole Chrome debugging protocol, where that basically gives you this Chrome inspector that web
Yes.
developers use to fix pixel errors. Like
we will come
agents
there.
can use that already, like
Yeah.
through an MCP.
And I think
it's super powerful. The only
Yeah.
problem is that it's also super slow because
Yes.
it enters this like debugging mode of Chrome.
course.
So
Of course.
I don't use it all the time. But if there is like a pixel error that I can't solve by just prompting and prompting again, then I'm like, okay, go in, check all the CSS, all the HTML. Like I can't bother to do it. Like you solve it, and it solves it. So
And I'm sure that Claude and Cursor and others will have debugging proper, functionality properly soon as well. And they will, unless they will have computer use and simply use keyboard and mouse, unfortunately. But of course, that's where most models are really trying to achieve, good results in. And GPT 5.5 that was just released, I mean, they are really performing well in
Yeah.
computer use.
Yeah.
a lot is happening there.
But, it's
But then
still-
we can
it's-
keep the CMS because the model can go.
We have the agent using WordPress.
Yeah, exactly. Great.
Back to square one. Which way to go?
Yeah, it's actually fun. Like we had this thesis like back in early 2025. This was like the first computer use beta was released by Anthropic, I think
Yeah.
autumn 24.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh shit, this is amazing. Now we don't have to build the MCPs. We can just like let it loose. And we tried, we built our own, like copied their sample project for like spinning up your VM, opening the browser, letting loose the computer use. And I was going to do a demo to Tom and like, look here when it posts in WordPress on our own site. And it's just missed the fact that it was still in the title field and just typed out the whole blog post in the title. I was like, oh.
But I think people, don't understand that AI in some ways are actually very stupid. And
Yeah.
if I just can elaborate a bit on that, I mean, I usually use this kind of pyramid from OpenAI to explain my view on AI, and it's extremely good in memory, meaning you can actually put 10 books into the prompt and it can have more or less perfect recall in all these 10 books in a single prompt. Like that, no human have any chance of doing anything similar to that. But then if you take something like ArcHAI3, the recent kind of benchmark that came out, then you need to be able to interact with some kind of interface and you need to reason about it and take action. And it performs horribly. For humans, you get 100% accuracy. Any human put in that test can solve these kind of tasks. And that's the state-of-the-art AI get less than 1% accuracy. And they don't really have the ability to interact, in an interactive way, and then reason about that in the way that humans can.
Yeah, and they have no training in that modality pretty much.
Well, they are partly. I mean, computer use is that partly, isn't it?
Yeah, in a sense, but it's still probably like screenshot based and like pretty slow in the sense where like, I mean, Gemini can watch videos now as well, so it's getting
Yeah.
a lot better. But
you can say that it's not trained that way, but in reality, it doesn't have that capability. And
yeah,
it's a
because it's not
capability.
trained that way. But once they do, like it will ace that. As
Why
well.
don't everyone is trying to beat ArcAGI 3? No one has done it.
Yeah, but it's been out for what? Less than a year.
But everyone is trying to solve computer use for ages as well. I mean, it's super hard.
I wait until 2028. I think.
No, but
then
I think
it's
people
gonna
are.
be-
I mean, it's harder than people think. I would really argue that. And
But why do we need computer use so bad?
but
there's one reason. It's called like banks. They don't have MCPs and like still need to go in and find boring receipts and stuff. So like you just use computer use for that. It's
Yeah, yeah.
amazing.
we can go into the whole JEPA and Jan LeCun argument here, but that's the reason I think we need to do some changes to actually get this type of intelligence. I don't think we're there yet, and I think there are a number of ways that we need to take to actually achieve this.
And you think that goes like beyond the transformer models capabilities?
No, it's still
like
based on
fundamental-
transformer, but you do latent-based reasoning done in a different way. We actually seen a number of papers going that route, so it's starting to move in that direction. And of course, all the image generator is not reasoning in pixel space. They are first having an autoencoder around the image and then doing the diffusion with transformers, in latent space. So we already have any kind of model that's working without text needs to be in latent space. So I think we are seeing clear signs in moving into latent space reasoning, which JEPA is primarily about. And we need to take that to I think the next level, to have this type of reasoning, which is not autoregressive, to make this happen. And I think it will come.
And is that basically like the innovation of JEPA then, that you do reasoning in latent space rather than just like tacked on after the fact pretty much with tokens?
It's a big, the joint embedding is really about that. So joint embedding predicting architecture is really, taking both X and Y, put it in the embedding space, which is the latent space, and then you do the prediction data, not the autoregressive one. But once you have that and the world models that everyone is speaking about right now, where you can actually judge if a position is good or bad. If that's for physical AI, where you try to understand if the gravity is working in a certain way or whatever it is, that can be something. But if you have this kind of, they have like 4 or 5 different modules that needs to work together to achieve this. But if you have that together and then do the reasoning in the embedding space or latent space, whereas Elon called it the vector space, then I think we'll get somewhere.
But it's interesting then, because obviously Jan LeCun was like head of AI at Meta for quite some time, and like it should have had a lot of resources. So like, is it that much harder to do that? Like they tried, and then they did like Llama on the side, and it failed, or like, well, because I kind of disregarded him because it just sounded like a grumpy old man, pretty much like complaining on all the other labs.
But I think he has failed, and that's a bit sad. We'll see if they succeed with a new AMI lab that he's having. But I think with all the papers and even all the other models that moves a bit beyond text, because text is really latent in some way. The level of abstraction that text has is rather high compared to pixels and audio.
Right.
Audio and images is super high in dimensionality, so then it's super hard to reason in that space. So to be autoregressive in pixel or audio space would be idiotic. And no image model today is doing that. So they already have moved to that space.
Right.
So it's already taken that kind of step.
But you can also, like we had Karim here, the founder of what's his super intelligent six
something.
super, so startup in Sweden that is more working towards. They are saying we believe in a different route towards AGI, which is more or less more carefully understanding, going language and text as a way to AGI. Will that really work? Do we have the real understanding of how we build stuff? So they're rather going the physical route. How do we build a physical world model or how do we learn to simply grip something and move something in a warehouse? And that is sort of the baby step of something that builds a world model that becomes more and more effective. And where basically there are some researchers in Sweden which basically says, maybe not the text way is the right way. And I think, but here we put the emphasis even stronger on the world model, the memory, and the recursiveness.
But just to summarize it, I think the important point here is to still understand that humans are better than AI in some tasks. Very clearly demonstrated by ArcAGI 3.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so easy for humans to do this task, and AI, independently of why, it still can't do it today, right? So there are things that AI cannot do today, and humans do much easier than AI, but certainly the opposite as well. So if you have that understanding, I think you have a much bigger chance of.
And the core question is also, do we simply need to do more of the same we're doing, or are there fundamental architectural tweaks missing? And I think something is missing. This is my view.
Who knows? Well,
Who knows?
Yes, agreed.
Could be, but I think you told me this, Tom, from the Y Combinator event yesterday, that like actually AI doesn't have a problem. So there's still like a space left for humans to have like the problem that AI can fulfill. And that's where like, if AI is going to take all jobs, like the humans going to have problems, and that will kind of generate new work in itself. So there is this like human agency aspect that is like, I think at least for the time being, like uniquely human, and obviously like what Arc AGI 3 is kind of edging towards is maybe like part of the same capability set.
I mean, just learning so quickly as humans do from a few examples and then extrapolating from that is something that today's models have a really hard time doing.
Yeah.
And but it will come there, of course.
It will come, but there's some breakthroughs left.
Yeah.
Some small ones, maybe.
Might be.
Who knows? But it won't be that long.
I don't know. That's another
Probably,
question.
yeah.
If we move truly philosophical.
How long before Arc AGI 3 will be resolved? I guess 1 year. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
So the crazy thing, we've had a couple of benchmarks. Oh, it's impossible, and then 3 months later, it's shit. We're on the move now.
Yeah.
So we have seen that one.
Cool. Let's see. I'm skipping some topics here. Time is flying by here. So, okay. So we have more complicated, potentially marketing tactics happening. What do you think? What will the impact of AI agents, being put in a more agentic way be on the tactics of marketing be in the future? Do you see what I mean? It's a bit complex.
Yeah, I mean, when we say marketing is a very broad word. I mean, we have lots of like branding and creativity that I think is still very human domains. Where in our space, which is more kind of data-driven marketing, that's where an agentic kind of setup works really well, because it's all about analyzing data, adjusting what's going on, running experiments, and then create that loop. But I think like Legora did with Jude Law. Did you see that? Yeah. So they basically have Jude Law as their brand ambassador, which was like, holy shit. I mean, Jude Law is one of my favorite actors, and I never thought he would go out and basically sell himself, especially like, Hollywood with AI. That's like, it's not the best combination. But in the end, he decided to do it. And I think that's, truly, Klarna did it with Snoop Dogg as well. Right. That type of marketing, I don't think an AI would be like, spend, I don't know how much Jude Law takes, but he's probably not cheap.
With that.
Yeah, like spend a couple of $1 million on Jude Law to get attention.
But I think the flip argument to that is like, I mean, if you listen to biolabs and stuff like that, they say like we try millions or billions of molecules now with AI. And I mean, Meta recently published a prediction model that will predict the emotional response in humans based on the video. They've done like fMRI
Yeah, that's
scans.
crazy.
So you just do the same setup, right? You generate the billions of potential ads, check the emotions of the potential simulated users that you want to reach, and you're going to find Jude Law or something better, I think. With AI, you just
but it's
put
not
the compute and the agents to work.
I mean, at least if you were to listen to the latest years of like influencer marketing, everything should be authentic. Even big companies like Vattenfall or whatever, they shouldn't spend millions on commercials. They should have a handheld mobile because it's authentic and that's what people relates to and things like that. So, I mean, of course, you will probably be able to, and Meta also have this Vibe social network where they generate all the content with AI. So if you kind of combine that with the brain scan models, then you have a pretty scary setup where you can basically decide what reaction you want from your ICT.
And Elon puts this as like AI is going to one-shot the human limbic system, and I think he's right. Like I wouldn't bet against Elon on that point either.
But speaking in general, let's take the Swedish election now coming up here. And you can imagine a lot of marketing being done here for that, of course. We could even see, I think, the election in, was it Venezuela? No, Argentina in 2 years ago or something. I think they call it the first like AI election or something. And they used a lot of generative AI to put up like bad pictures of the opponent.
But they were using it fun because they were roasting each other. So it was obvious it was fake, but it was still communication-wise, it was quite powerful.
And of course, we're seeing the same now with Trump and one of the other kind of weird AI-generated images being actually not trying to make it look real, just using it as a communication tool, I guess.
Yeah, and in the Iran war, like they have been pretty aggressive, haven't they? With like the Lego Trump and like a lot of Trump waiting for the Iranian delegation.
Yeah,
like obviously fake videos, and like they still use that to try to get their message out.
So this point is that it's completely AI generated, but it's not trying to fool us. It's trying to use it as a powerful communication persuader.
Yeah, but I think it's very hard to draw that line,
Yeah,
isn't it?
of course
I
it
mean,
is.
I've seen some on LinkedIn where they even write on the image itself, like AI generated, but people are still like blowing up in the comments and be like, "Oh, this is a Palantir CEO with, our state head of state," and so I think that line is hard to draw, basically.
But if we just try to be really visionary here in terms of what marketing would look like in the future, one of course is simply to use AI and Agentic to optimize the marketing that you have.
Yeah.
But I guess you can also think of the product that you market to be more AI driven, meaning just as Spotify could have Discover Weekly, which is personalized to hundreds of millions of users, and then adapt it to this is actually the music you'd like.
Yeah.
Perhaps we can have ads in the future that is so personalized and actually having this kind of, they understand you as a human so much, so they actually have different videos that is personalized.
Like one example that we've seen recently, like with our growth agency, Growth Hackers, is that we started running Cogny.
Yeah.
Cogny does a lot of analysis of the data.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, you should really like build some SEO page for marknadsföringsbyrå, like marketing agency. We're like, we're not a marketing agency, we're a growth agency, and this hadn't crossed our mind really, but we were buying it on search, of course, because like people looking for our services think of us as a marketing agency.
Right.
So like from a brand positioning perspective, like it didn't make sense as our identity, but it made sense like how people tried to find us anyway, because they didn't know about us maybe, but then if we popped up, it was a interesting proposition. So that's kind of working our way into more of the idea space, the feeling space, to like what people, how they reason about this. So in that sense, like AI can already help kind of take away our prejudice about who we are and try to position us better in the market.
But I think also, like historically, you've had a page or a landing page, and you try to run A/B test on that in order to improve conversion rate and things like that. But and if you're even a little bit more advanced, you start to do personalization, which means parts of the sites adapts depending on who you are. And I think AI, in a sense, completely will rewrite that, because why would you need one single user journey? You could have like Spotify for hard rock players, and then that user journey can be specifically for people that like to listen to hard rock. Or you can have someone for blues. You can have like all the subcategories. AI can generate millions of user journeys that are specifically for.
But I think that's what you're also aiming at then, because then marketing and product is converging in some ways.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say that it depends. Like in our industry, in the startup space, I mean, if you are at Spotify and do marketing, or if you are at Lovable, what are you doing? I mean, it's a great product. It sells itself, right? You just try to amplify that. And I think that's a big difference than if you're at an energy company.
Yeah, but I think it's also from the loop, right? So what is a product, right? And ultimately, if you have fundamentally personalized perceptions based or journeys, then the meta product is fundamentally different products.
Yeah, I mean,
so in this sense, then you have a marketing intelligence product loop that is sort of.
I mean, it's the same value that you give.
Yeah.
It's just adapted to who you are.
Yeah,
because I mean, Spotify is still a music service. It serves any music lover. But if I feel that I'm at home as a hard rock lover, and the user journey is adapted to that, then I'm going to feel more connection to the brand, and that basically makes the brand be able
but
to
it
charge
makes
more.
total sense then, because if we are talking about product as something that you employ to do something that solves friction or something you want done, so I want to employ a product that is perfect for my use, and all of a sudden then, where is the line between what is product, what is marketing, what is UX? It's just it converges.
Maybe more
it
of that
converges.
moves into your personal AI agent, and like
exactly.
product companies left with doing more like agent-based payments, APIs, information that's really clear.
Because marketing is then your meta product, or the way you experience the product is part of the meta product.
It's about how you explain it to different people.
Yeah.
I mean, the value and the product in itself is what solves the problem, right?
Yeah. So the core functionality might be the same.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
and maybe that's an inner core end. But I'm not layering until like
I mean, that's
that's an interesting. I think it's
but
converging. I think it.
common interests and things like that. But at the basics, it needs to be a strong relationship. I mean, it's kind of same that with the product. You have to love the problem. You have to have a problem with the problem that it solves, basically. But then it helps if it's closer to you. It looks kind of the same to you, and it talks the way that you talk. Then you come a little bit closer, which means that you will pay more for that than an exact replica of that service that just looks.
But I just want to close this and go further. If I put the thesis down, marketing will never be further away from product than it is right now. It will use Converge and get closer and closer and closer in terms of how this. We always talk about product, marketing, and then we have the distance between marketing and sales. I mean, and we are talking about really that distance goes away. And I'm saying, well, it's not going to go away. It's just going to go closer and closer.
It's the context convergence.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I
think so too.
I mean, as ads expert as well, that you are from the past, if we do consider, of course, Google search going down in popularity, it's just agents, looking at Google search in the future potentially. Yeah. And then people are looking more and more at the text output or video output or image output. I mean, OpenAI wanted to move ads into their output, so to speak. What will be the proper way to just get the message out there, so to speak, when you can't show ads in the traditional way?
So there are multiple ways, right, to show ads as well. I mean, Google has had a super strong position because they have a way to show ads where people already have the intent. They are at the bottom of the funnel. They figure out, I need now to book a concert ticket to blah, blah, blah. And they Google that and they find it and they're happy. But what happened in the moment before, like we call this the upper funnel or awareness stage, for example, that is, of course, still left, even if the agents do like figuring out how to help me solve my problem, but creating the problem, that's still marketing as well. Upper funnel,
upper middle, bottom. Yeah, I like that.
And or associating yourself with the problem area.
Exactly.
I mean,
and that might become even more like a creative, exploded by AI, basically. Like, I mean, this Law example is a good example. I think that they're basically like, they're borrowing a little bit of his brand to also amplify their own. But like maybe there's a crowdsourced version of this. Like I figure out that I need everybody to eat my ice cream, so I like give it to certain people. I have AI help me find this, and then like by them eating this ice cream, it now becomes valuable in the eyes of others. And now I've done marketing, and it's like agents then get hooked in to find the ice cream and buy it, right?
I like the way you painted the funnel now. Upper, middle, lower, and how we can understand how agents are helping us in different ways, depending on, do you have a lead generation problem, do you have a lead nurturing problem, do you have a closing problem? It makes total sense to understand then that we need to categorize different types of marketing workflows in relation to creating the demand versus closing it.
Yeah, but I think the like where you start with an LLM, that's not fully understood. Like, do you start in the awareness stage? to be like, oh, list all.
No, it's all over, of
telecom.
course.
Yeah, exactly. Or are you just asking like, what's the best energy provider in Stockholm?
I'm like, I, if you like watches, it starts with you nerding around watches, going on YouTube, doing different things, and all of a sudden, oh, I like Pilot watches, oh, learning about that, and then that's my nurturing story already there, right?
Exactly,
From top of funnel to bottom.
Yeah, but I think historically what we've done is we've of course mapped all the clicks that happens to a page, and then we can see like, oh, this user had, within the 90 days that we know that it takes to consider a new telecom provider, for example, we can see that, oh, they started searching here, they started looking at which type of abonnement or like subscription they want, and then they, like 90 days later, they've ended up at what they want, and they can kind of choose that. And then we can map out all those clicks and understand like these clicks are top of funnel, and then we can do what's called attribution. We can attribute the value all the way back. But I mean, the LLMs kind of destroy this.
That's a different story.
That whole exploration is done in the LLM basically, and there's not a single like call that goes out to the page.
But isn't this where the power shifts then? Because somewhere in my chat repository, ChatGPT knows exactly which toys I'm dreaming of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I guess like
how can you monetize
but
that?
the difference is like if you present, I mean, I heard someone compare like Google Ads with magazines, because basically if you look through an expensive magazine, the ads are as good as the content.
Yeah,
and that's true for a Google search as well. I mean, the ads are as good as the organic content. But if you ask LLM a simple question, it can't give you some like, oh, this is kind of good things, but there's also this. I mean, they have to give you an answer, probably a pretty deterministic answer.
Yeah,
They can't give you like,
otherwise I'm not going to happy with his.
Exactly. So it's kind of hard to fold in ads into the format in one sense.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. Where will that go? Or will it mean that the normal search and ad space is not going away? What is the prediction here? Because you're pointing at something spot on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Meta has this model, of course, that's trained on the 3 billion users that they have, so they're supposed to know you. And I think that if you have a model like that, then that model can interact with different MCPs or different interface, whatever it is. And then you can kind of sort between those and then get a couple of responses back. So basically, it's a data exchange between the advertisers and the LLM. But you can't present that in the...
Will ChatGPT ever sell the top right corner to a...
Exactly.
will
banners,
happen?
back to banners.
Banners in ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, but maybe, I mean, agentic commerce is an obvious way to try to bring that monetization in there in like a genuine way, right?
I mean, like prompting, you know when you're prompting, and then now I could do this, even in the prompting, structure, he could easily slip in, do you want me to search where I can find this?
Exactly.
That even happens right now. It already
buy.
happens right now.
Yeah.
Do you want me to find which places you can buy this? We are doing it already in some ways.
Yeah, it is happening. I mean, if you ask, you're going to get an answer if you ask an LLM which telecom provider you should have, or
But of course, also like discounts could be a way to do it. Like you ask for 5 Mexican restaurants, you get 5, but then it's like, do you make the Tex-Mex restaurant like with a little bit of Texan flavor with a 5% discount? And you're like, yeah, maybe that's fine. Like I can do nachos with steak or
Where will this go?
Yeah, but in the end, I guess you're nudging the trust of the LLM if you start showing ads. And I think that's the whole point of Anthropic's whole commercial series, that we're never going to do ads because it jeopardizes the whole trust of the platform, basically.
No.
Is it? I mean, if you have to pay for it in the future, perhaps people will still accept it, if they get it for free.
I mean, it's the whole also like B2B, B2C place that like Anthropic heavily enterprise focused, while like OpenAI has gone like really broad, a much more adopted free plan, and like maybe ads is the only solution that they can provide this in the future with. I mean, they tried this like scan your eye for crypto approach as well, but I guess that backfired. And
yeah, a lot will change for sure, and I mean, marketing is still a very important tool to have, right? I mean, otherwise we can't grow businesses, and we need to figure out a way to do this in an agentic future in some way or form.
Yeah, and especially if, like, for example, SaaS is becoming like completely commoditized, or you can even like just spin up your custom stuff. Like, I mean, I think we're looking at a new super cycle of sales in a sense. Like, we have all the incumbent companies, they sell their products, they have their stock valuations and all of that. But like AI factories is coming, humanoid robots is coming, AI capabilities is coming. So like everybody that's not like pure play AI company is going to get squeezed pretty much. And then they need to do more selling and more ads.
Yeah. But, okay. I'm just trying to think, if we go even further, do these kind of extreme use case thinking like Elon often does, thinking that, okay, in the future, we won't have ads, we won't have apps, we just have a graphical interface or a video being streamed to us all the time by an AI, then understanding what we're saying and doing all the time. We still want to have, companies that want to influence us and inform us of their products or the services somehow.
Still want the illusion of choice.
Yes.
Yes.
Unless you're talking about like the post-capitalism world. I mean, that
world of abundance.
Exactly.
That might eventually happen as well. And then, of
Perhaps
course, the rules of the game are different, I think.
Speaking of the world of abundance, if we were to move to an AGI future, we mentioned some years here, perhaps 2029 or something, or do you have?
What do you think, Anders?
Well, I've been saying Ray Kurzweil year for a
Yeah,
long
you copied
time,
him.
Okay.
I can
many
concur. He copied Ray on the first episode, I think.
Yeah, it feels like the safest bet, right?
Yeah, but it's interesting how it's sort of. Did we? I don't know. Yeah, it's the safest bet.
Yeah, but I think it actually makes a lot of sense as well. I mean, a lot of people are saying 1 year or something. Some people are saying we have it here, and I certainly don't. I mean, it's so easy to show. Just it can't do AGI3. I mean, obviously we don't have it here today, but
of course, like from a commercial intents and purposes, like I don't earn money by solving ArcAGI, but like
no, but there are things AI can't do. So if you define AGI as something that can do on the par of an average human co-worker, we know it's a lot of things it can't do today.
yeah, and at the same time, it can unlock like tremendous value that like a human can't. So
Yes.
like it depends like which lens you're looking at this from. Like, I mean, from the SaaS world or whatever, like maybe it's already here, but obviously from the like I want to help with the finding out the meaning of life world, like maybe it's not.
But then you have, of course, okay, we can do now AGI desktop. And then what about physical AGI? And what about then the regulatory landscape? So we have AGI at scale, right? So when we say 2029, which one are you thinking about then? The first level or the physical level or the abundant level? I think 29, maybe I can agree with that, but I'm thinking the first level of sort of
Yeah, I'm thinking digital space.
digital space
physical
AGI.
space will probably take a bit longer.
And I'm not saying physical space at scale. Because I don't think the regulatory will be there.
But it could actually be. I think the physical space is moving very, very quickly as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like faster than humans, obviously. In marathons are.
Yeah, we'll see. So it's not impossible; both can happen.
But are you on that sort of trajectory of 20 years or 50 years?
Yeah,
right?
I think my timelines are like really compressed. Like I usually, maybe my timelines are too compressed, that I expect more to happen than does.
Yeah, we have this problem that we usually are too far ahead, and we
Yeah.
sit and talk to people, and they're like, "Oh, we don't understand what you're talking about." And then 8 months later, there's another company doing the exact same thing, and they're having success. So, I mean,
Market window.
yeah, exactly.
Shit.
But I
hate that
think,
shit.
I mean, I'm worried that like, do we really discuss what post like AGI level 1, if you like, then world looks like in this upcoming election in Sweden,
Yes,
for
It's a
example?
great point.
That's a good point.
And I think we should, like, because there should be like a
Definitely.
democratic mandate for the plan. Like, is it just, are we just gonna all leave off the like Per Geijer fyndighet, like this big rare earth deposit that they found outside of Kiruna? Because I mean, a lot of the Swedish budget that goes to the state is based on labor taxes, right?
But I think it was also important to distinguish between the technical progress of AI, which will go probably very, very fast, and that is what I mean with 29.
Yeah, me too.
Meaning that
Me
we
too.
have the technological possibility
Yes.
and potential of AI But then that the actual, companies will adapt, the society will adapt. That
Yeah,
will take
exactly.
Much longer than
I
that.
agree. I think that when we talk to clients now, it's more about them adapting to AI. It's not about the latest models or it's about them basically. And it's interesting because some people, of course, lean more into it and others are more hesitant.
And I'm really scared about, and I wish politicians spoke about that more, is the concentration of power and the AI divide now being created, because that will go just faster and faster.
Yeah.
Some companies that really do make the proper use of AI, they will just accelerate insanely fast.
Yeah.
That's very scary to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's putting a lot of companies or like livelihoods or like revenue or BNP under exposure. I mean, for example, all of these like dark factories that they talk about in China, they will be able to produce a bigger and bigger share of what we consume, and if they do it at like AI and robot prices, which like because they almost do that already, like with suppressed wages, etc. But like, and consumers like cheap things, and it's gonna be harder and harder if you haven't adopted your processes to AI, and obviously like Europe has this pretty interesting situation with like no real big super successful foundational lab, and also like having given away a lot of the robotics to China, I think.
But I think back to the income gap, because that's already a problem. I met was that after part at Sturehof, met some politicians. Shouldn't say which party, but and they were talking about this, what's going on in New York, and we can already see this like grassroots happening without AI, and of course AI is going to amplify this a lot. So I think the politicians should start some type of universal basic income. I know Finland has done some testing around it. Why not just start to test so that when or if it happens?
We need data. We need to have an understanding for what will happen.
Yeah,
and how can we really understand that if we haven't even experimented?
Yeah,
exactly.
or at least have that debate, because maybe people want to vote on like, let's turn everything into UBI and like skip all the basic services, or the other way around, like zero income. You just go and like you get like a motbook or like some kind of stamp card where you consume using that, and no money.
But back to I haven't thought about that. But if AGI technically comes within the next election period, which we are saying then, if we are following Ray, what are the things we should be discussing then in this election?
I think the UBI definitely.
The UBI?
Yeah. We need to get some type of program like that going anyway.
Well, we need to debate what's the options, right?
Or we start like it. I believe in experimentation, right? So I think we should start testing and just figure out how it works.
Same question. It's so far away, but at the same time, no, you said it is within this election period.
It's the supersonic tsunami coming in.
But it's also adoption is later. The real effects, what we're seeing in society will probably take a longer time. But
you can't know that.
No, we can't know that.
You think that based on past changes, etc. But like, if we think about the slow timelines, like I think it was around like pre-World War II, like there were very many horses and not so many cars. And then that war happened, and like in the 50s, there were almost no horses. And of course, this was not with like online 24/7 intelligence, like a country of geniuses in a data center type level execution. But if you bundle that with like self-replicating robots and stuff, like it could go really fast.
And one point we can be rather sure about is that some companies will move much faster than others.
Definitely.
Yeah, they'll try to build data centers in space and put things on the moon. Like somebody will do that.
But
right?
imagine you have a company, just hypothetically, that has income that is on 70% of the world.
Yeah, or like 100%. Like Elon Musk thinks that the total global economy on 1000x or something like that. Yeah. And most of that growth will happen in space. And if that's equal to SpaceX, we're close to 99 or worse.
But let's say 50%, just to not make it too extreme. Sure. Even 50%. If one company owns 50% of the turnover that we're seeing in the world, what would that mean? They will be much more powerful than any kind of country that we have.
I think we're already there at some point.
Right, we are. Right?
But and now comes why this debate is important, regardless of exactly how far we are. it goes back to the William Gibson quotes. The future is already here. It's just unevenly distributed. And if you follow that trajectory, if we think we're going to go closer to AGI, technically, it means some companies will, from now to here, reap a lot more benefits. So this gap, this distribution of the future will be there. Therefore, how will we as a society cope with the people on the different sides of this? So the whole UBI income discussion is also about how do we redistribute balances.
Yeah,
that becomes a question we can have now.
Like which balances are left as well. Like, I mean, imagine that we had zero tax income year 2030. Like, what do we do then? Maybe we tax, like, you're currently giving away mines, for example. The Swedish, politics for, like, if you want to establish a new uranium mine in Jämtland is a big local discussion, right? Where does those profit go? And currently, like, English companies or whoever comes here and builds the mines, they can reap a lot of those profits. But in, like, a world where raw materials and electricity determines outcomes pretty much, which is, like, I guess what the robot factories and everything is, then we need that to look a lot different, I think, if we want to have prosperity in Sweden.
So these are very valid conversations to be had now, I think.
Yeah, but I think, like, because we see to politicians to make these decisions, but they haven't made decisions for quite some time now. I mean, if we look at the data center build out of $930 billion, and compare that to the Apollo project or the railway project, which dwarfs all of them, who funded that? Did the government fund that? No. It was private companies. So we're already there, I think, and this has been so for quite some time. So,
but then the world will not get balanced, because then it will always be the richest. It's a capital.
Yeah, I think we're all oligarchs in one way. Runs the world, and unfortunately, I mean, we do see some maybe hopeful sparks that politicians can start to take back some of that power, because of course that needs to happen. And if I had the 100 richest people in the room, I would say, like, you should do this, otherwise it's going to be French Revolution on your ass, and you don't want that. So I think everyone gains from a more equal society, and that's the discussion needs to be had, basically.
What is it? Lex Friedman always says, power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Exactly.
if some person or company gets absolute power, it will corrupt them somehow.
And it also destroys innovation, right? I mean, if they don't have anything to compete with, then they probably just...
Okay, coming to this last question then. At some point, we probably have AGI perhaps very fast, and perhaps a bit later, and perhaps technology is moving very fast and adoption a bit slower, but still, at some point, it will happen. We can imagine then two extremes here. Either it can be the horrible future, and we have the Terminators and the Matrix and machines trying to kill us all, which, given the geopolitical situation, is not unfeasible either.
They trained on us, on our data. So.
Yes. And then we can take the other extreme, and that's the utopian future, and we will have AI that solves the climate crisis and finds a cure for cancer and fix the energy problem, and basically creates the world of abundance that makes price of services and goods go to zero, and we don't need to have a capitalized society anymore. Where do you think we will end up? If we start with you, Tom, here, do you think, what's the chance of us moving in one of these two extremes?
Yeah, I mean, there are good arguments for both sides, I guess. I've heard this, like, when we happen to step on an ant, we don't feel that much, hurt, or we don't care that much about the ant. Why is that? And science says that apparently it's because our intelligence gap is so big. Right. So if you argue that we would create an AGI that is many times smarter than us, that AGI would probably not feel so bad if they need to remove a couple of people because we're too many and we're consuming too much and so on. So that's, of course, a rather dystopian scenario. But then, I think we created in this liberal capitalism system that we have across all countries today, we have this system that kind of just drives innovation, and there's no way to stop it. I mean, we can't go back and say like, oh, we're going to do planned economy now, and even if that has its own ideas, it's never going to, that's never going to happen. So I think we just have to jump on the train, and I think being positive, I like the abundance movement, for example. I think that's probably the way to go, and hopefully, we create this super intelligent being that can solve all our problems, and everyone can do what they like to do most, which is probably being with friends and family and enjoying your hobbies.
And brew beer, perhaps.
Yeah. Lots of beers.
More beer.
Yeah.
So we have Britopia mission.
Yeah, Britopia, definitely.
Berner, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I actually used to be in like the camp of that, like, we need to like really put the brakes on this and like, embrace the climate movement and like draw down consumption and like do all of this really seriously, like otherwise we're gonna fuck up the earth. But now I think the irony is that like I think people don't like that Elon Musk is on his way to space and is gonna spend so much money on spaceships, etc. But I think that he might actually save the Earth's climate because of it. Because if you move all of this fantastic AI activity out into space, because it's more efficient, you also don't have to like paperclip the whole Earth. It can stay as a like little museum of the origins, and like AI can go out and do stuff in space because it's just more efficient, the better scale, and way more inspiring to the AI.
We make AI multiplanetary.
Exactly.
So we stay here.
That is the biggest scam. Look how much is over there. We use ads. You want to go in that direction?
It depends. Singularity can happen as well, as we can follow on a hard drive or something.
I haven't thought about that. That's a really profound, I think. We actually create an outlet for the AI in some way.
Yeah, and then like the whole market economy or like the consumption part that goes with it, kind of.
And we just get 1% of the profit from the AI. That's written into the source
exactly,
code.
something like that.
Goes
And
back
we
to
have
Earth.
abundance on Earth, and
That's
like,
it.
I mean, he has even argued that this Dyson swarm that he plans to send out, like people say that jokingly, I think, because he's really planning not to circle it around the sun, but have it somewhere close to Earth primarily. And you can even use that to shadow some of the sun rays coming in and thereby dampen the whole like greenhouse effect, or the effects of the greenhouse effect, if you will. So I think there might actually be like a climate solution in the whole like
In the background here, you actually solved we went to the abundance. We solved the climate crisis in a completely different way.
Yeah, because if we build out AI like as much as we will want to in the next 50 years only on Earth, I mean, then we're living.
Then we're
almost
fucked.
Yeah,
Then we fucked it up.
You can forget about taking a stroll in nature after that. It's just gonna be like pure industrial area pretty much. But yeah, going to space is a great solution, I think.
Interesting.
Very inspiring.
Yeah, I like that.
That was a new angle.
We tried this question like 100 times or something,
Yeah.
and
We're building data here.
going to train an AI on this. And
What's the optimal AGI solution here? We almost have the answer now.
I mean, this is already streamed to the internet, right? So we're already contributing to the data.
Contributing.
we are. It's being rocked. Okay, thank you so much, Berner Setterwall and Tom Ström, for coming here. Loved that you could come here and speak about so many amazing things. And I hope you can stay on and continue to speak after work and the camera turns off. So thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. The pleasure was really ours. It was great to be here. Nice atmosphere, good drinks, and good company. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.